Good morning, students. A very good morning to all. So, we will be starting with the session soon. Uh, just please let me know that whether my voice is clear and everything is fine. Okay. Thank you so much, Ritika, Deepak. Just give me a minute, okay? So, is screen visible to all? So, is the screen visible to all? Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Very good morning. And first of all, I welcome you to the live practice session of NABARD Grade A 2024. So from today onwards, we are starting our classes, right? So today we will be starting with your lecture number 1 of ARD. Just to start with, I would like to tell you all that we have students joined on YouTube also. So I will be taking queries from YouTube as well as the Zoom session. Okay? This lecture has been broadcasted on YouTube as well for the demo purpose. So just I'm making sure that everyone is connected, and if someone is connected through YouTube, they can also ask their query. I'll be answering that. And same with the students that are in the course, right? So with that, let's start. And I hope you all are excited for this examination. I know uh, we have crunch of time, but still we have to cover everything, right? It's now starting, so live classes has been started, and we will be taking your all the courses, all the subjects, as well as I'll be taking all the queries. So now I hope you guys have once revised the summary sheet or the content that you have. If you haven't and you are just starting right now, so don't worry, after this class you can, you can go and read all these summary sheet. You will be able to understand it. Okay? Yes, yes, surely. I'll take queries in the last. Okay, don't worry, I'll take queries in the last. First, we'll cover the lecture, we will cover the entire session, and then I'll take query last one by one. ठीक है? तो ठीक है. So I'm just making it here very clear that we will be taking only 2 demo lectures. Rest all of the lectures will be for the students who have paid for the course. Chalo. So with that, let's start. And today we will be covering your first 2 important chapters, that are Introduction to Agriculture and Agronomy. Okay? So these 2 chapters are important because a question you will see in the examination, question from these topics. Okay? With this, let's start our today's class. First, we will cover your chapter number 1, that is Introduction to Agriculture. Clear? Chalo. First, let us understand what is agriculture. ठीक है? So it is very important to understand what is the literal meaning of agriculture. And if we go back to the word from where it has been derived, so agriculture term has been derived from a Latin word. ठीक है? It has been derived from a Latin word. Okay, Pushpraj, I request you to go to your course, okay, crash course, and there you will see the class. Okay, there you will see a session made up of class. You have to attend that. Chalo. So, and if there is a further problem regarding the class, so you can mail at or call at hello edutap or call at this number. Okay? So anyway, team will connect to you. Chalo. With that, let's start. So I was talking about the origin of word agriculture. Now this agriculture word has been derived from a Latin word, that is ager, which means land and soil. Culture means cultivation. ठीक है? So whenever we are cultivating land, or whenever we are managing land or soil for our benefit, or for the production of crop, or for the rearing of the livestock, or for the production of fisheries, so that is the agriculture. ठीक है? So remember, just here it is derived from a Latin word, ager, culture. Ager means land and soil, culture means cultivation. Now, question can be asked from here also. Okay? First, origin can be asked, and then you can be asked the meaning of the 2 term, that is ager and culture. Okay? You have to remember this thing. Now, as I was discussing about agriculture, so does agriculture just only encompasses crop production? Okay, when we see agriculture sector, There we have fisheries, we have animal husbandry, we have forestry. So we can say that agriculture is not just about crop production. It's not we have to only produce crops in the agriculture for our consumption, but rather r- we have to produce crop for the animal consumption also, right? We have to feed animal. For that also we need to grow crops. So and excuse me, I'm so sorry. So animal husbandry is also part of agriculture. Clear? So livestock also come under agriculture, that you have to be very clear in your mind. And along with your livestock, forestry is also part of agriculture. And then we have fisheries as well, which is again a part of agriculture. So agriculture not just include your crop production, but it also encompasses rearing of animal, that is animal husbandry, their breeding. Then we have forestry, that is production production of forest crop for timber and other purposes. And then we have fisheries, ठीक है, where we are growing crops, we are growing fish, we are cultivating the organism in marine environment. ठीक है, I hope I hope this is clear to you all. ठीक है, okay, if there is a sound problem, just give me a minute, I'll just check. Okay, I hope now everything is fine, right? Please, if there is any issue regarding sound or anything else, just let me know in between the class as well. Otherwise, there is no use of this class. ठीक है? Okay. Chalo. With that, let's start. Let's move ahead. So we were discussing agriculture. ठीक है? I have told you from where this agriculture term has been derived from. Now we will understand the definition of agriculture. How we can define agriculture. ठीक है? Now this is a very basic class, I would say. If you are someone who is not you haven't read agriculture before, so I would say be patient little bit. Slowly and slowly we will be building on your concept. Okay, so now I'm just telling you the basics of agriculture, and slowly I'll be coming to the all the topics related to this chapter and other chapters. Yes, you will get the recording. Chalo. Coming to the definition of agriculture. Now, when we define agriculture, agriculture is defined as a science, art, and business of growing crops and rearing livestock. ठीक है? Simple. क्या है? It is a science, because we know for better production, for better yield, for better income, we should know the science behind crop cultivation. Okay, if agriculture is not science, then why agriculture has been considered as a part of why it has been considered as a part of science, and why people are studying about agriculture? We are studying about agriculture because it is science. There are many researches going on in the agriculture, and this research is going on for the better production, so that we can increase the production in agriculture, right? So agriculture is science. It is very important for us to know the science behind growing crop, the science behind how environment is impacting the crop, the science behind what are the factors that are influencing the crop production, and the science behind how our crop yield is affected by these factors. So you can see agriculture is a vast science. ठीक है? So it is science. That is why it is considered as science. Now, next, it is considered as art. Now, anyone cannot go for agriculture. Okay, you require a skill, you require a mindset, you require a attitude for doing this agriculture, because anyone cannot be the farmer. Okay, I would say anyone cannot go for and just do something in agriculture. For specifically, if I give you example, if I tell you that I want a graft of mango tree, ठीक है, so everyone cannot know, or everyone do not know how to do grafting. It requires special kind of skill, it requires special kind of training, right? So in grafting we get to know that we have to join two pieces of scion and rootstock, and it get joined with each other, and that is the graft. But it is not that easy as it is seems. But we require a skill, we require a proper training for doing these things. So agriculture is that's why considered as art. ठीक है? Now next we have is a business. Why we are growing crops, why we are rearing animal, because we want some kind of produce. Okay, ultimately we have some kind of ultimately we have some kind of reason behind doing these kind of things. We are growing crops for the cereal purpose, for the pulses purpose, for the oil seed purpose, for the different kind of crops we are extracting from these crops. Now we have livestock as well, where we are getting milk, we are getting meat, we are getting eggs from the livestock, right? So it is a business. So now you can understand how agriculture how agriculture is science, art, and business of growing crops and rearing livestock. Clear? I hope with this it is very understandable what is the definition of agriculture and how we define agriculture. Okay? Just remember, agriculture is the science, art, and business of growing crops and rearing livestock. Okay? With this, let's move ahead and let's discuss the branches of agriculture. Now, students, see, agriculture is a very vast science in itself. I have told you that we have to study about a lot of things, and there is not only one sector which is related to crop production, but here we are also dealing with the forestry, we are also dealing with the animal husbandry, we are also dealing with the fisheries. So that is why, to make study of agriculture easier, so that it is easy to understand, easy to, you know, easy to group all the different kind of sectors, we have divided agriculture, or the scientists, I would say, have divided agriculture into different branches. Okay? Now there are basically 7 branches. I would say there are only a main 3 to 4 branches, and next we have some allied branches that is supporting agriculture, not directly related to agriculture, but they are the supporting branches. First we have is agronomy. Now what is agronomy? Students, in agronomy, dekho, what kind of crops do we consume? We consume some cereal crops, we consume some oilseed crops, we consume some sugar crops, we also consume some kind of fruit crops, vegetable crops. Okay, we also grow flowers, we also have gardens. Okay, we have vegetable crops. So these are different kinds of crop. Now we have to categorize the study of these crops, because if we see, there is a clear differentiation between the field crop and the horticulture crop. Now what are field crops? Basically these are grown in fields for the consumption purpose directly, and they can be stored for the long period of time. Like for example, if I say rice, wheat, ठीक है, if we say maize, we say barley, we say jowar, ragi, all your millets, they are part of your field crops. And when we are studying these field crops, when we are managing these field crops, that comes under your agronomy. ठीक है? Now apart from your field crops, we have some horticulture crops. Now horticulture crops are basically kept different because they are थोड़ा सा perishable, means they get spoiled easily. ठीक है? For that we have horticulture, a different branch of agriculture that is known as horticulture. So in horticulture we have crops which like fruits, vegetable, flowers, then we have some spices crops, and then we have some the flower, or the crops that get perishable, means the shelf life of these crops is very less. So these are called horticulture crops, and they are kept under different branch of agriculture that is known as horticulture. ठीक है? I hope these 2 branches are clear to you. I will be discussing it later also, but agronomy is basically study about the field crop. In these field crops, we majorly study about the cereal crops, oilseed crops, the sugar crops, the fodder crops. So all these kind of crops come under the agronomy, and where we study about principle and practice of growing these crops, that is the agronomy. ठीक है? Next we have is horticulture. Now in horticulture, we have those crops which are little bit perishable in nature, or which have small shelf life. Now what is the meaning of shelf life? Basically, if you see, if you keep a fruit, okay, if you keep an apple for for 2 to 3 days without any proper condition, you will see that this fruit will start getting rotting up. Okay, so shelf life means how many days you can keep this fruit into shelf without getting rotten up. So these हॉर्टिकल्चर क्रॉप हैव लेस सेल्फ लाइफ. ठीक है, इनकी सेल्फ लाइफ जो है वो कम होती है. दे गेट spoiled easily, and they require some kind of special practices, some kind of special post harvest practices. Post management practices means when we have harvested it, then we are required to store it in a proper condition. देखो, when you harvest rice, when you harvest wheat, there is no proper condition required. You just store these rice and wheat in the bags and you just store them in the godowns. But the case is different in case of horticulture crop. In horticulture crop, you cannot just keep all these fruits and vegetable in the godowns. You require proper warehouses. Okay, you require proper environment condition. You require proper refrigeration for these crop, for the storage of these crop. Okay, so there is a differentiation here. And in horticulture, not only we deal with the fruits, flower, and vegetable, also horticulture is dealing with your beautification of landscape. देखो, in agriculture we also deal with the beautification. You might have seen lawns, you might have seen gardens, you might have seen different types of gardens, right? So these gardens are studied, these gardens are, or these landscape beautification is also studied under horticulture. Clear? I hope this is clear to you all. If there is any confusion regarding these two, then again let me know, I'll tell you. Okay, next we have is forestry. Now, students, apart from the crops that we are getting from agronomy, that we are getting from the horticulture branch, we have some crops that are usually grown in forest. Okay? There are so many timber crops. We are getting timber from these forest crops, right? So this branch of agriculture, that is forestry, deals with all the crops that are grown in forest. Okay? Now, these forest crop can be used in different purposes. We have different purpose like timber production, we have fodder production, it can be used for fuel, right? So these crops which are grown in which are grown in forest, for all these purposes, they are studied under the branch of agriculture that is known as forestry. Okay? Now here you have to understand that agronomy, horticulture and forestry, here we are dealing with some kind of production. We are dealing with some kind production of some kind of crop or production of some kind of produce. So that is why here it is kept under crop production group. Okay? Crop production group means where we are producing any kind of crop. Just understand this way. Okay? So here it is agronomy, horticulture and forestry. Next we will move on to the animal management group. Now here in agriculture, where we are managing animals. Okay? So there are two sectors where we are managing animals. First is animal husbandry and next is fisheries. Okay, in animal husbandry, you might have seen farmers have cows, farmers have buffaloes, farmers, rear the poultry farm. Farmers also have some kind of other, other animals that they are rearing, sheep, goat. These kinds of animals are also reared by farmers. Okay? So now animal husbandry deal with rearing of these kind of cattle which are useful for the farmers as well as their breeding. So when we study about how these animals are reared and how these animals are breeded, so that is studied under a branch of agriculture, that is animal husbandry. Clear? I hope this is also clear to you all, right? Chalo. Now, next we have is a fishery science. Again, another animal management group where we are dealing with or where we are studying about the fisheries. So all the oceanic environment, all the organism, be it your fishes, be it your the prawns, crabs, lobsters, all the organism that we derive from the oceanic environment, they are under the fishery science. Okay? So as these two branches, animal husbandry and fishery science, are about management of animals, that is why they are kept under a group known as animal management group. Okay? Next we have some allied groups. I told you there are some supporting groups, there are some supporting branches to agriculture. They are not directly part of agriculture because here we are not getting anything, but these branches help in agriculture. So first is first is agriculture engineering. Okay? What is agriculture engineering? Basically here Agri in agriculture, when we are managing these crops, I told you that we manage so many field crops, we manage so many horticulture crops, then we manage forestry crop. How these crops are managed? We need some kind of tools, we need some kind of machinery, we need some kind of implement to effectively manage these crops so that we can increase our production, right? So these tools, these implements, these machinery, they are studied under the branch of agriculture, that is agriculture engineering. Okay? Agriculture engineering deals all about the machines, tool, implements that can be used in agriculture to increase the production. Clear? So that is about the agriculture engineering. And next we have is the home science. Now students, see, we have produced things, but what is the nutritional value of these things, or how these food products can help in gaining the food security? So that is studied under the home science, and it deals about the nutritional aspect of the product that we get from the agriculture. ठीक है. With that, I hope these 7 branches are clear to you. ठीक है. अब यहाँ से if you get any question in the examination, you should be in the position of writing or correct, choosing the correct option. ठीक है. Agronomy, field crops, horticulture crops, forestry, forest crop, animal husbandry. It deals about your livestock, fisheries. It deals about your marine organism. Then agricultural engineering deals about your tillage implement or the farm implement, we can say. And home science regarding the nutrition. Okay, so how we nutritional aspect of the agriculture crops, that whatever crops we are getting, how much, what is the nutrition content in that is studied under the home science. ठीक है. So that is the branches of agriculture. No, देखो, genetically modified crops do not comes under agriculture engineering. देखो, genetically modified crops that comes under plant genetics and breeding. That's very good, Rupin, because देखो, genetically modified crops are basically crops which has been produced by the modification at the gene level. Okay, we are using any kind of machines there, but the gene level manipulation is done by the scientists, which are specifically plant breeders or plant plant those who are dealing with the plant breeding and genetics. So they are doing this, or particularly plant biotechnologists, they do that kind of work, not the agriculture engineering. Okay, agriculture engineering is just about the production or the making of machines, you can say. ठीक है. Engineering is about machine making. So agriculture is not about GM crops. ठीक है. चलो. With that, let's study now. Let's study about the branches of horticulture. As we were discussing about branches of agriculture, on the same line, we have a horticulture branch that encompasses so many aspects of agriculture. ठीक है. So to make again horticulture easier, it has been further divided into different branches. Now, from the branches of horticulture, question has been asked. So I request you all to please pay attention to each horticulture branch. Okay? First, we have is a floriculture. Now, as the name suggests, floriculture. From the name itself, it is coming. It's flower culture. So when we are cultivating flower, that is floriculture. Clear? Next, we have is arboriculture. Now, students, it is a very different. It is a bit different science, because in arboriculture, here we study about management of single tree. ठीक है. Usually we manage the entire field or entire forest area or the entire land mass or entire the plantation area. But when the management is concised or confined to a single plant. Okay, when we are only concerned about one single plant, how this plant is growing, okay, or what kind of condition this plant has been provided, that then that is called as arboriculture. Okay, so arboriculture is the science that deals with the management of one single tree, one single plant. Okay, that is arboriculture. Next we have is the landscape horticulture. Now, what is landscape horticulture? As I was telling you before also, in horticulture, not only we are studying about the production of flowers or the production of fruits or the vegetables, but here beautification is also there, and it is a science. ठीक है. It's not like anyone can modify a land or anyone can create a garden or something. It is also a science, and that is studied under landscape horticulture. ठीक है. How a land area can be converted into a beautiful garden. ठीक है. That is the landscape horticulture. Beautification is also there. Okay, still sound is low. just, just tell me. Still the sound is low. Okay. See, some are saying it's perfect, some are saying it's low. So those who are feeling it low, please check at your end. It might be like there is some problem at your end. Okay. Okay. Chalo, next we come to the olericulture. Now, students, olericulture is basically a branch of horticulture which is dealing with the vegetable. Okay? Now, here you have to remember this thing. Question was asked from this branch of horticulture. So, branch of horticulture dealing with vegetable production. Okay? All your vegetable that you eat on day-to-day basis, that is dealt under the branch of horticulture is olericulture. Okay? Next we have is the pomology. Next we have is the pomology. What is pomology? Pomology is about fruits. Okay? You can see in the picture also, from the picture also you can remember olericulture about vegetable, pomology about the fruit. Okay? Just remember this thing. Pomology is study of fruits. Next we have is a viticulture. Now students, देखो, we consider grapes as a fruit, right? But grapes cultivation, as they grow in the vines, they have different cultivation practices, so it has been kept under different different branch of agriculture, a bit different branch of horticulture, that is viticulture. Remember this thing, all fruits are under pomology, only grapes are under viticulture. Okay, so you will answer if it is asked cultivation of grape wine, grapes or grape wine is comes under which branch of horticulture, that is viticulture. Clear? Just remember the specific thing for which these branches has been kept. Chalo. Next we have is enology. What is enology? Basically it is about production of wine from the grapes. So grapes that that we are growing, or usually these grapes have the different purposes, but winemaking is also one aspect that we deal with the deal in the horticulture, and that branch of horticulture is known as enology, that deals with the how wines is produced from these grapes. Okay, easy to understand. And last but not the least, we have post harvest management. As I was telling you, I have told you while we were discussing regarding the branches of agriculture, that in horticulture post harvest management is very important, because I have told you, I have explained to you that how the shelf life of these crops is very low, very less. Okay, and we need to increase the shelf life so that we can keep these product for longer duration of time, and for that we need to do post harvest management. And all the study of post harvest management, all the practices, all the things that happens after the harvesting of the crop, that how they can be stored for longer duration of time, they are called as that is known as post harvest management. And this branch of horticulture that deals with this thing is post harvest management branch. Okay, I hope with this everything is clear to you all. Okay. Now, moving on to the, sorry, this, okay. So now moving on to the National Agriculture Research System. So students, till now we have discussed agriculture, branches of agriculture, horticulture, branches of horticulture. So this was all about your basic branches and basic facts that you need to know about the agriculture part. Now let's move on to the other important thing, that is the National Agriculture Research System. Now I have told you that in agriculture we need to increase production, and for increasing the production it is important that we do continuous research, and we continuously work on the technology, we continuously work on the techniques that we are using in agriculture, so that we can come up with a good alternative or efficient alternative way of increasing production. Right now, who is doing this research and where this research is going on? So these research is going on under National Agriculture Research System, because this is a system that has been set up by the government for increasing the research, for the promotion of research in agriculture, so that ultimately we can increase the production. Okay. Now, what is Agriculture Research System? Basically, it comprises of your ICAR, that is Indian Council of Agriculture Research, that is Indian Council of Agriculture Research, ठीक है, and other central research institute and national research center. Now students, there are various national research centers or the research institute that are set up in the India. Okay, and the list is very long. Now you might have this question that, ma'am, do we have to remember all these institute? So my suggestion to you is that once you are completed with your ARD portion, all the important portion, then if you have time, then you can have a look on these, look on all of these institute, that can be your national research centers or the other institute. but the advice that I wanted to give you here is that if the question will come, it will be probably of 1 mark, and you will have to remember 63 64 institute. Then we have, I think, 13 national research centers, and then similarly we have 4 deemed university, and then we have so many agriculture, all India agriculture coordinated research project and national bureau and project directorate. So it is a very long list. You will have to learn about 100 of institutes. So my request to you is that once you are done with your all the syllabus, once you have learned all the facts, other important facts, then you can go for the reading these national institutes. Otherwise for now you can keep it as low priority. Okay? Because for 1 mark you will have to give more time, and now at this point of time you don't have, you have to smartly allot your time to the important topics. Okay? So that's my suggestion. And just for your knowledge, we have 63 institute that is working for the agriculture, horticulture and veterinary. Then we have 4 deemed university and 13 national research centers. Okay? And then we have, for each crops we have all India coordinated research project. Now what are these all India coordinated research projects? Basically, like for example, the first all India coordinated research project was started for maize. Maize is a crop, right? Corn that we have. For that it started in 1957. And what we do under this research project, basically the seeds of maize are distributed to different location where we have these different institutes, okay, working for the research of research in agriculture. Now these locations will set trials. These locations will sow the seed of maize and see that which variety of maize is performing better in their location. Okay, and accordingly they will distribute seed to the farmer. So that is the purpose of this all India coordinated research project, so that we can test all the different varieties of all different crops, and accordingly we can recommend the best variety as per the climatic agroclimatic condition of that particular region. Okay? So that you have to know about this all India coordinated research project. And then we have national bureaus and project directorates, again working for the same research and development in agriculture. Okay? See, from NRC, a question was asked, I think in 2020 or 21. So the NRC for orchid was asked, and it is in Sikkim. Now, again, there are 13 NRC. So it is again possible to learn 13 NRCs. But for 63 institute, I would say once you are done with your syllabus, then you can go ahead with reading all these 63 institutes. Okay? Chalo. Now next, coming to the revolutions. देखो, revolution से every year one question has been asked. ठीक है? Every year you will see one question will be there from agriculture revolution. So at least you should, do not let this 1 mark go from your hand. So you should remember you should remember all the agriculture revolutions. ठीक है? The first we have is green revolution. What is the meaning of green revolution? And this is quite a popular term also, you might have heard earlier, that green revolution is a era, we say, where the production of food grain increases. Okay? Earlier in India also we were dependent on other country for the import of food supplies, right? We have to import wheat from the USA and other food grain from other part of the countries. Now India, the scientists of India, what they did, the government and the scientists, they collaborated and they brought up some new varieties. Okay? And these new varieties, they out yielded and they performed very well. The production of rice and wheat that increases, and that that leads to a revolution. And India not only becomes self-sufficient, but we become capable of exporting these commodities. So this type of revolution, where this revolution or this era where the production of food grain increases, this era is known as green revolution. Okay? Yes, high yielding varieties were made, and these high yielding varieties were distributed to the farmers, and then this high yielding varieties led us to become self sufficient in food grain requirement. Okay? I hope with this you know what is green revolution. Just remember the term associated with that particular revolution, color of revolution, and the food commodity related to that revolution. Now, green revolution is for the food grains. Clear? I hope this will be clear to you all. Next we have is red revolution. Now, red revolution is a term that is associated with the increase in production of tomatoes and meat. See, tomato and meat, they are red in color, you can see, and accordingly you can associate these color with these commodity. ठीक है? So red revolution is for the meat production and tomato production, increase in meat production and tomato production. With that, let's move ahead to round revolution. They see round revolution is the term given for the potato, increase in potato production. Now, you can learn it as potatoes are round. Okay? So round revolution is associated with your potato production. Clear? I hope these things are also clear to you. Excuse me. Next we have is the black revolution. Now black revolution is for the petroleum, and then we have yellow revolution, which is related to your oil seeds. ठीक है? Next we have white revolution, which is associated with your milk production. ठीक है? So students, you have to remember the color of revolution and the commodity associated with it. ठीक है? I hope with this it is clear. See, for yellow revolution, you can remember mustard flour. Mustard flour is yellow in color, and mustard is a oil seed crop. So yellow revolution is for the oil seed. White revolution is for the milk, because again color of milk is white, right? So it is for the milk. Uh, Next we have is a blue revolution. Now students, blue revolution is associated for the fish. ठीक है? The oceanic environment. So when the fish's production increases, the term that is given to that era or that revolution is blue revolution. Next we have is the brown revolution. Okay? It is for the leather and cocoa. Then we have golden fiber revolution. Golden fiber, see, the color of a jute fiber is golden in color, so associate it with the color of the jute fiber. So golden fiber, we have only two fiber crop, jute and cotton. ठीक है? Fiber crop are jute and cotton. Now cotton is obviously not golden in color, right? Jute is golden in color, so jute, golden fiber revolution is associated with jute. And for cotton it is silver fiber revolution. ठीक है? For cotton it is silver fiber revolution. Next we have is the protein revolution. So students, pulses are rich in protein, so you can associate it that protein revolution is associated with the increase in production of pulses. Then we have pink revolution. This was the question that was asked. ठीक है? Again, for onion and prawn, it is given pink revolution. ठीक है? And then we have golden revolution. Golden revolution is associated with the fruits, honey, and overall horticulture crop production. I hope this is clear to you. One thing that I wanted to make you clear here is, one is silver revolution, another is silver fiber revolution. Silver is for egg, silver fiber again cotton. ठीक है? I have told you it is for cotton. Chalo, next let's come to the father of various disciplines. So students, these are some facts that can be asked in your examination. ठीक है? Rupin's evergreen revolution was a term that was given by M.S. Swaminathan. ठीक है? It was a term that is given by Swaminathan, and again it is associated with your food crops. Chalo, let's come to the father of various disciplines. Now, if any person have a good contribution in any field, so he is considered as father of that particular discipline. And in agriculture, see, these are the simple facts from which question can be asked. Again, it's not like they will definitely ask you the question from these, but can be asked. And what I have done, I have come up with the important names that you can remember. Okay? If you'll see the list is again very long, but yes, at least the important one that you have to remember that we are discussing here. First is father of agronomy, it is Pietro di Crescenzi. Then father of plant physiology, it is Stephen Hales. You just need to remember the the area in which they have worked, and the name of the person. Okay, then we have genetics. For that we have George Johann Mendel. Okay, for the genetics, father of genetics is G.J. Mendel. Then coming to the Green Revolution. Now there are two names associated with Green Revolution, and in which you can confuse, you can tend to confuse. We have two things. First is Dr. Norman E. Borlaug, who is father of Green Revolution. Okay, so if you are given in the question that who is the father of Green Revolution, then the answer would be Dr. Norman E. Borlaug. But if you are given, if you are asked who is the father of Green Revolution in India, then you will say, then your answer will be MS Swaminathan. ठीक है? I hope this thing is also clear to you. Father of Green Revolution, Norman E. Borlaug. Father of Green Revolution in India is MS Swaminathan. ठीक है? Next we have is father of cotton hybrid. The name is C.T. Patel. ठीक है? The name is C.T. Patel. And again, we have father of golden rice, Dr. Ingo Porticus, and father of mutation theory, Hugo de Veres. Hugo de Veres. ठीक है? So these are the few important names that you have to remember. Again, father of hybrid rice is Yung Long Ping. ठीक है? China was the first country to develop hybrid rice, and India became the second. And you just remember that from China, first hybrid rice came. So the person name is Long Yung Ping. ठीक है? Microbiology is Louis Pasteur, and very important, father of white revolution in India is Dr. Verghese Quirijn. ठीक है? White revolution is your milk revolution. It is also known as Operation Flood. ठीक है? Remember this thing. Your white revolution is also known as Operation Flood, and the father of Operation Flood or the white revolution is Dr. Verghese Quirijn. ठीक है? Now we have some important dates also. So this is a list of important dates that can be asked. Again, that can be asked. If we see number of important dates, it is, again, list is very long, but important, at least you should remember all these important dates. They can be asked. Okay. First we have is 10th February, World Pearls Day. We celebrate it as World Pearls Day. Then we have 21st March, International Day of Forest. Then 22nd March, World Water Day. 22nd April, World Earth Day. 26th April, International Seed Day. Then World Milk Day on 1st June. World Environment Day, 5th June. 3rd December is celebrated as National Agriculture Education Day. Then on 5th December, World Soil Day is celebrated. And on 23rd December, National Farmers Day or Kisan Divas is celebrated. ठीक है? Now there are two names associated with it. So for 3rd December, you will remember National Agriculture Education Day to celebrate the birthday of Mr. Rajendra Prasad. And then we have 23rd December to again celebrate the birth anniversary of Chaudhry Charan Singh. ठीक है? Just remember all these things. ठीक है? With this, we have covered your first chapter. Now, first chapter is quite fact-based. You have to just directly learn all these facts. ठीक है? It's not something like there is some concept or something to understand. So wherever it was necessary to teach you or to tell you the background or thing, like the branches part, there you have to understand ki which branch is dealing with which food commodity and what are the different branches of agriculture. Rest, it was totally fact-based chapter. ठीक है? Now, if there is any query, I'll take 5 minutes. And within 5 minutes, I'll take query related to this particular chapter. If you have any query related to this particular chapter, you can just ask me. Okay. Then we'll start your chapter 2. Any query do you have? I'm asking to the people who are joined on YouTube as well. So just let me know if there's any query. Otherwise, I'll proceed. No. Please understand one thing. Okay. Lakshya is asking that do we have to remember father of each and every revolution? Again, Lakshya, see, these are some facts. Again, probability is there that one question can be asked from these things. But again, you will have to smartly work right now. Okay? If you go on remembering father of each and every revolution, first of all, the probability is very less that it can be asked, and second of all that you will be wasting a lot of time. So I would suggest keep all these fact thing at the last, for the last point of time, when you have read everything, you have you know practice enough questions, and at last when you have time, then you can slowly and slowly remember all these things, okay, learn all this. No, Nikki, year of establishment, I would say for now you can keep at low priority. It's not that much important because it hasn't been asked in the examination. Okay, see, I told you that please ask query regarding the chapter that I have told you. Okay, rest query I'll take later on. Chalo, I think we don't have any query regarding this particular chapter, and I will move ahead. Okay, next chapter that we have to discuss is agronomy and field crop. Okay. See, Parag, I cannot say that this institute is important or this institute is not important, because again, examiner can ask you any institute. Examiner can ask you regarding any of the institute. Okay? But my suggestion to you is that if you hear or if you come to know about any institute while reading your current affair part, just try to remember the name and location of that institute. Okay? So that will be helpful, because probability can be that examiner can ask from the current affair domain ki, okay, this institute was in the news, so let me check that whether these guys know ki where this institute is about, is where. Oh, about the days, see, again, days are same because these are facts. I am telling you, these are the facts. It's not 100% ki they will be asking you from these days only. They can ask you from anywhere, but if you come to know about any days, like if there is any some day which has just gone by, you can remember about that day. ठीक है? Chalo, with that, let's start your second chapter, that is agronomy and field crop, and this is one of the important chapter, I would say. Okay, let's move ahead with this chapter. So sorry. So, agronomy and field crops, this is again a very important chapter because a number of questions has been asked from this chapter. Okay, so I'll be discussing with you with regarding this chapter. Chalo. First, we have to understand again origin of this term agronomy, and we have discussed in brief about the agronomy branch of agriculture. Okay, I've told you it is a branch of agriculture where we are dealing with the field crops and their management. If we see the origin of agronomy, so it has been derived from Greek word, ठीक है? Agros, which means field, nomos means management. ठीक है? From here also you can understand where we are managing the field. That is the literal meaning of agronomy. ठीक है? Agronomy derived from a Greek word, agros, field, nomos, management. ठीक है? I think this is clear to you. And I have told you already, agriculture is the term derived from the Latin word. Remember this thing, which term is derived from which word. Okay, you have to learn this thing. Agronomy from the Greek word meaning field management. With this, let's understand what is the definition of agronomy. So, definition of agronomy is that it is a branch of agriculture science. I have told you, we have discussed about the different branches, right? So, agronomy is the one of the branch of agriculture science that is dealing with the principle and practice of crop production and field management. ठीक है? What do we mean by principles and practices of crop production? Now, when we are doing crop production, it's not like that farmer will just go throw the seeds and expect good production. It's not happening, right? We follow some kind of principles, we follow some kind of practices for the production of individual crop. Okay, if we are sowing rice, you might have seen for rice, first what we do, we prepare the field, we do the puddling, and then we transplant the rice. That is the principle principle and practices for rice production. If we sow the wheat, for wheat, we what we do, we use seed drills for distributing the seed into the field. Again, we prepare the field and we distribute the seed through seed drills. So that is the principal practice for wheat production. So similarly, for each and every crop, we have different principle and practices because each crop is different from one another. ठीक है? You might have seen that some crops are grown in the summer season, some are grown in the winter season. Why so? Because again, because due to the tolerance, because in which season these crop will give us the fruit, or these crop will give us the produce. Accordingly, we are sowing the crop in the summer season or the winter season. Now, what are these that we are talking? These are the principles and practices that how we can grow this crop in better way so that we can get maximum production. ठीक है? So this is the branch of science. This agronomy is the branch of science where we deal with the all the principles and practices of all the field crops. ठीक है? I have told about all the field crops, not about the horticulture crops, not about the fruits, vegetable, flowers, all about the field crops that include your rice, wheat, corn, sorghum, bajra, uh, your pulse crops, all your legume crops. Then we have all seed crops, all your fodder crops, your sugar crops. All these crops are studied under agronomy. And now, see, for each crop in an agronomy, we learn about this branch in under this branch that what is the soil type that will suit this particular crop, what is the climate that suit this particular crop, what is the amount of irrigation that is need to be given to this particular crop. ठीक है? Again, for what is the amount of fertilizer that should be given to this particular crop. So each crop is studied, each crop management is studied under the branch of agriculture, that is agronomy. ठीक है? Next is field management. देखो, one thing is that we have to grow the crop, but where we are growing the crop? Obviously on the field, right? So we need to sorry, we need to manage the field as well, so that the seed can germinate properly, so that the plant can get congenial environment for production, and it can give us good yield. So all the principle and practices in field management is dealt under the branch of agriculture, that is agronomy. ठीक है? I hope this is clear. And with agronomy you will learn the name Pietro de Crescenzi, father of agronomy. Clear? Chalo, with this let's move ahead. Any doubt regarding anything, let me know. ठीक है? Whatever we are discussing, if you feel there is any doubt, if there is any doubt in between regarding anything that I discuss or that I say, just let me know in the chat box. I'll take your query. ठीक है? There and then only, because it will get clear. But regarding the lecture, okay, rest I'll take query at the end. Chalo. Next we will discuss the agronomy science, how has been derived. देखो, I've told you in agronomy we learn about principle and practice of each crop. Now, how the principle and practice of each crop is derived in this particular science. So first, we need to understand the crop science. Means how this crop is germinating, what is the growing pattern of this particular crop, in which season this crop is growing. ठीक है? How many irrigation requirement how many irrigation are required in this particular crop. So that is the crop science, means how the crop grow. ठीक है? If we know how the crop grow, then next thing we need to understand is the relation of crop with the soil, because ultimately your crop is growing on the soil, and soil is the base, or the soil is the base for your crop, and soil provide all nutrient and water to the crop. And that is very important thing, because if crop will have nutrient, crop will have water, then only it will produce grains for you, it will produce flowers for you, it will produce fruits for you, right? So first we need to understand crop science, then we need to understand the soil science as well. ठीक है? What is the soil, what is the interaction of crop with the soil. ठीक है? How the soil hold nutrients, how the soil provide nutrient to the crop, so that if there is any problem we can accordingly manage it, right? If there is a fertility issue, if there is a nutrient issue, accordingly we can see which nutrient is less and we can manage it, we can provide it. ठीक है? Now, next thing to understand is the environment science. Also, देखो, apart from your soil, the crop is growing in the open environment, and it is interacting with all the biotic and abiotic factor of the environment, right? So it is also again very important to understand the environmental science, or how the crop is interacting with the environment. Now, when we derive all the conclusions from crop science, environment science, and soil science, then from there we make a branch, that is agronomy, for each crop, where we discuss all the principle and practices. Okay. So central theme of agronomy, if we say, it is the soil crop environment relationship. In agronomy, what we study about each crop is soil crop environment relationship. Okay. This is just to tell you how the science of agronomy is derived. It is not going to ask, it is not going to be coming, it is not going to come in your examination. Okay. Just to give you, just to give you idea that how this science, or the how the principle and practices of each crop is being derived. Now, next important thing to understand is crop. Okay. What is a crop? Now, when you see plants of a same kind, देखो, when we have plants, okay, there are some good plants, there are some, plant that we can consume, there are some poisonous plants as well, there are some trees. But when we call these plants as a crop, okay, when we specify, or what are the features that we, when we say that, okay, now these plants are crops, these are plants are not crops. See, when you see same kind of plants is being cultivated over a piece of land, ठीक है, be it your kitchen garden, okay, you are growing like for say vegetable, and you have grown spinach for say. So what you will do, you will not grow one spinach, right? You will grow a good number of plant of spinach so that you can consume it. So when we see same kind of plant that is being cultivated over a piece of land for the commercial or the for the subsistence purpose. Now, meaning of commercial and subsistence purpose. देखो, these same kind of plants can be grown for the commercial purpose by the farmer. ठीक है, over a large piece of land, farmer is growing all these kind of crops for selling purpose, so that farmer can get the produce and it can sell it later on to the market. ठीक है, and next thing is subsistence purpose, like you are growing any vegetable in your kitchen garden, so it is for your subsistence, means just for your survival, or just for your consumption. You are not going to sell it in the market. So when we see similar kind of plants that is being grown over a piece of land, either for the commercial purpose or for the subsistence purpose, these plants are called as crops. Clear? I hope what is crop is also clear. Now when we see the classification of crop plants, okay, now from now onward everything is important. I request you all to please pay attention now, okay, because these classification, and from these classification question can come. Now when you see few crops, they go, when we have discussed similar kind of crop plants, or similar kind of plants are called crops. Now you will see there are few similar kind of plants that is grown in the small area, that is your kitchen garden. Next, few similar kind of plants you will see are grown in a very large piece of land, and you will see there are few entire region or entire area that is covered with the same kind of plant. ठीक है, so according based on the space they are taking, we have classification of crop plants into garden crops. Garden crops, again, the kitchen garden crops or the backyard garden that we have, that are grown in a small piece of land, and usually it is for the subsistence purpose, right? So these crops are called garden crops, which are grown on the same piece of land. Okay. Next we have is a field crop. Field crop are those crops which are grown on a large piece of land. Okay. They are called field crop. It contain all, it have all your cotton crops, or the fiber crop we can say, or the cereal crops we have, the pulses crop we have, that is the field crop. And next we have is the plantation crop, which are grown on a large estate. Okay, you might have seen tea garden is not about 1 or 2 hectares. It's about hundreds of hectares, right? Coffee estate is not about 2 to 10 hectares. It's about a large piece, a large area that has been that has been brought under this coffee production. Okay. Now students, one question that can come in your mind ki ma'am, if we are growing some crop as a garden crop, so same crop can be considered as field crops. देखो, the thing is here, the area that we are assigning to each crop, based on that we have done this classification. देखो, if you are growing for say if you're growing vegetable for say, or the we can say if you're growing rice also in your kitchen garden, so that doesn't mean ki it is not a field crop, it becomes a garden crop. Okay. So any crop can be grown in the garden, any crop can be grown in a field, any crop can be grown as a, and not any crop, but few crop. The plantation crops are specific crops. Now plantation crops include your include your coconut, include your tea, coffee, rubber. These are plantation crop. Now plantation crop have different thing because they are first grown for the commercial purpose. They are, they are for the they are perennial in nature. They cannot be, once you have established a plantation region, you cannot just, renew all the time it. You cannot just every year pluck out the plant and again grow the plantation crop. Once you have established a plantation crop, that will last for years, right? First. Next is field crops. Every year you will see, or every season you will have to change the field crops. And again garden crops, every season, or based on the season, or based on the fruits, or the based on the vegetable you want, you will change the garden crop. So it's just that on the area that you're assigning and the crops that you're growing in that, based on that we say garden crop, field crop and plantation crop. Okay. Yes, you can sell the garden crop, but again I said it is based on the size that you're assigning to that particular crop. Okay, if any crop is grown in small area, that is the garden crop. If it is small, any crop is grown in a field, that becomes field crop. And if any crop is grown on a very large area for years and years, that becomes a plantation crop. Okay, chalo. Let's move ahead. Now let's see the classification of field crops. Now field crops has been classified on different basis. First we have use of crop plant and their produce. So what is the use of that particular plant or the produce that we are getting from that particular plant? Based on that we have the very first classification. Next we have is the season in which that particular crop is growing. We have a classification. Then we have a climate also, in which climate we can grow a particular crop. Based on that also we have a classification. Then what is the life cycle of that particular crop? It is an annual crop or a biennial crop or a perennial crop. We have a classification. Then what kind of mode of pollination do this crop shows? Based on that again we have a classification. Then nutrient uptake is again a based of classification. We have scientific or botanical classification. Depth and type of root system that a crop have. Carbon dioxide fixation, how the carbon dioxide is being fixed into the crop. And then we have some special purpose crop. Okay. So all these are the different bases of classification of field crop. Okay. Now one by one we will see each classification basis and we'll see how they have been divided under these classification. Okay. Chalo. First is based on use of plant and their produce. Okay. So what is the use of that particular plant to us, or what is the use of that product that we are getting from that plant? Based on that we have these classification. First we have is cereal crops. Yes, PDF will be provided to you. Okay, don't worry, PDF will be provided. First we have is the cereal crops. Next we have is the oilseed crops. Then we have green manure crops, pulse crop, fiber crop, commercial crop, sugar crops, spices and condiments, and forage crops. Okay, just now understand we have these many classification under the very first basis, that is based on use of plant and their product. Clear? Now let us one by one discuss all these classification. So first we have is the cereal crops. Okay, student, what are the cereal crops? Basically, these are the grain grain crops, you can say. Like what kind of grains you are consuming? You are consuming rice, wheat, all the millets. Okay. Now the grains are pulses also, but why they are not under cereal crops? See, because cereal crops are the crops that are belonging to the grass family. Okay. Usually they are grass. Okay. Initially, what would happen? Initially, these grasses have been grown randomly here and there, and then the humans, they saw these grasses and they see there they have some kind of grains that can be consumed, so they brought under the cultivation, they brought under these grasses under cultivation. And these grasses which have these edible starchy grain, they are the cereal crops. Okay, they are the cereal crops. Now what are the cereal crops? It include your rice, wheat, maize, sorghum, barley, all your millets, they are the part of your cereal crops. Clear? ठीक है. Okay, sure. I'll upload the PDF before the class. ठीक है. चलो. Clear? Now, cereal crops. What are I have told you? These are basically the crops which are belonging to the grass family. Now, students, what are these family? For few of you, it might be something different. Ki what does she mean by grass family? So, when we see the classification of plants, ठीक है, the plants has been classified into different families. ठीक है. So there are different families. So like if we'll discuss about the pulse crop, I'll tell you that these are belonging to the leguminosae family. Okay, so based on the shared characteristics or the characteristics, they are common in few particular group of crops or the plants. They are has been they had been kept under the one particular family. Okay, so in botany, when you will when we read about different crops or different plants, these plants are assigned particular family. Okay, grass family is one of them, in under which all the grasses are there. Your cereal crops are also part of grasses, but as they have edible starchy grain that can be consumed by humans, that's why humans have brought these grasses under cultivation and we call them as cereal crops. Yes, starchy means they have starch. Starch is a kind of glucose, right? Okay? It is a form of you can say glucose that is present in them. Basically, plants store glucose in the form of starch. Okay? And in the grains, what the plant is doing? Plant has stored all these starch in the grains so that these grains, when used as a seed, can support the growth of the seed and can provide the nutrient to the growing plant. Okay? So these edible, what we do, we take all these starchy grains and we consume it. Okay? So I hope this is clear. And what is the meaning of staple food? Basically, staple means that is consumed predominantly by the humans. Okay? If we see in India, rice, wheat is our staple food because usually or the most of the population that is consuming in India is rice or wheat. Okay? That is the meaning of staple food. So now staple food is your rice, wheat, maize. Okay? All these are staple food. With this, let's move on to the next classification, that is pulse crop. Okay? Just give me a minute, guys. Okay, let's discuss about your pulse crop. Okay, yes, yes, Parag, which is consumed on a very large scale. Okay, staple food means, again I'm telling you, staple food means which is the part of diet of large number of population. Okay, in India, as I've given you the example, you might have seen in some part usually wheat is consumed or rice is consumed. So rice and wheat become the important part of diet of Indian population. So rice and wheat is considered as staple food for us, right? So that is the meaning of staple food. I hope this is clear, right? See, Akshit, type of cereal we can say there is major cereals and there are minor cereals. Major cereals are basically those cereals which are majorly liked by humans. Like I've given you the example of rice, wheat, corn. So majority of our consumption is major cereals. But minor cereals are all your millets. Millets are basically not liked by humans that much, or we do not prefer to eat millets on day-to-day basis, right? Though now government is trying to promote the importance of millet, but still consumption of millets is far less than the consumption of the rice wheat that we have, right? So this is the classification, just that we have some major cereal and minor cereals. Major cereals are those cereals which are majorly consumed by the population, which include your rice, wheat and maize. And minor cereals are your millets, okay, which are not that much liked by humans, that not that much liked by us, okay. Okay, so let me come to you about the grain, legumes and legume part. So in the pulse crop we will discuss about the this, ठीक है. चलो, What are pulse crop? Basically, pulse crops are pulse crops are grain legumes. ठीक है? Now, what does legume means? Again, this legume term has been derived from a Latin word leger, which means to gather. ठीक है? Now, here these crops have some speciality you can consider. ठीक है? देखो, we say pulses are rich in protein. That means they have good storage of protein, right? Now how they are able to make this protein? So because these crop have a ability to fix atmospheric nitrogen. ठीक है? Now these pulse crop, what they have a root system where they have some nodules present. ठीक है? Inside these nodules a bacteria, that is rhizobium, that resides. ठीक है? And now this rhizobium bacteria, what it does what it does, it takes atmospheric nitrogen from the atmosphere and fix into the roots of the pulse crop. And this is a symbiotic relation. Symbiotic relations means, see, rhizobium is getting shelter in the roots of the crop, and the crop is getting benefit of nitrogen from this bacteria rhizobium. Okay? This is a symbiotic relationship, means both are getting benefited. Due to this ability of pulses to fix atmospheric nitrogen, they are rich in protein. Okay? Excuse me. And these pulses are rich in protein. ठीक है? So pulses are not only rich in protein, but also they have, due to this ability to fix atmospheric nitrogen, they add nutrient to the soil as well. ठीक है? There are two qualities with pulse crop. First, they can they are rich source of protein. Next is they are adding nitrogen from atmosphere to the soil. ठीक है? And when this nitrogen is added to the soil, obviously nitrogen content in the soil will increase, and whatever crop we are growing after the pulse crop, that will get the benefit of that. Okay. Now, what is the meaning of grain legumes? देखो, legumes is a term that is used for the pulses crop. ठीक है? We have whole pulses crop. It's not like that. Okay, so it's not like that we have something that we are getting only grains. Okay, we have whole pulses crop. So grain legumes means we are using grain of these legume crop. Okay, that is the difference. That is the meaning of grain legumes. And legumes is general term used for the pulse crop. That is the difference. Okay, when we specify, see, legumes can also be used again for the pulses. You can directly say that I have consumed legumes, or you can directly say that I have consumed any grain legumes. Both meaning is same. Legume is basically a legume crop. Grain legume means that you are consuming grain of the legume. That becomes more specific. ठीक है? Now here, what does this term together means? Now again, it is gathering atmospheric nitrogen to the roots. So that is the meaning of pulses, or the legume we can say. Leger, which means to gather. ठीक है? It is gathering atmospheric nitrogen to the roots of the crop plant. And that is the speciality of these pulse crop, and that is why they are important in crop rotation and crop mixture. That is why we always recommend farmers, or always farmers are recommended that they should include some kind of pulses in their crop rotation. What farmer do? Farmer grow rice crop, they grow wheat crop, and these rice and wheat crop, they are not adding anything to the soil, rather they are taking all the nutrient from the soil. So if farmer can include these legumes in between rice and wheat, this legume will help to restore the fertility of the soil, right? And it will play an important part in the fertility, in maintaining the fertility of the soil, so that the further crop, that is the coming crop, it can get benefit of that, and it can grow well, and it can increase the production. ठीक है? Yes, yes, they see, always, as I am telling you, these pulses crop are very important because they are adding nutrient to the soil. And always in soil there is a deficiency of these nutrients, especially nitrogen. Okay, in Indian soil, if you see, this is a very important nutrient that is required by each and every crop, and it is mostly deficient. If any crop is adding this nutrient to the soil, that means these crops are beneficial for the soil. ठीक है? चलो, next we have is oil seed crops. Now, what is the meaning of oil seed crops? As the name suggests, oil seed crops. ठीक है? From these crop, what we are getting? oil. We are extracting oil from the seeds of these crop. We are extracting oil. Now this is the something which I don't need to explain much, because you might have all seen mustard seed, and you might all know that from mustard seed we are extracting mustard oil. So we have crops. See how much fortunate enough we are that we have crops from which we are extracting oil. ठीक है? It's not like that we have to manufacture them something artificially. Rather, we have some crops. The grains of these crops, they can be used to produce these oil. ठीक है? So oilseed crops are grown primarily for the production of oil. ठीक है? Best example is your mustard. Yes, pulses and legumes are same. See, these are the synonym terms that are used. ठीक है? Pulses is more, you can say, common term that we use, like you say na dal. So dal, pulses, legumes, all these are the synonym terms. ठीक है? चलो. Next we have is the classification of oilseed crop. Now, देखो, we have two type of oilseed crops. First, that can be edible, that is edible oil, and next we have is the non-edible oil. Okay, Ayushi, I think your answer, your query get answered here. That groundnut is oilseed crop. ठीक है? It's not legume. I think. Okay, Vihar has asked. Vihar, groundnut is oilseed crop, not the legume crop. ठीक है? Thank you so much, Ayushi. Chalo, oilseed crop, we have edible oilseed crop and non-edible oilseed crop. See, every oil that you see is not edible. Okay, some oil are for the ointment purpose, some are for the outer application only. We cannot eat. You cannot consume castor oil, right? So the crops, the oilseed crops that can be consumed, they are kept under edible oilseed group, and that cannot be consumed are kept under non-edible oilseed groups. ठीक है? I hope very easy to understand edible and non-edible. Now, edible we have peanut or the groundnut, we can say soybean, sunflower. These are edible oilseed group. Mustard is also there. Then in non-edible we have mahua oil or the karanj oil or the castor oil. These are the non-edible oilseed groups. Chalo, with this, let's move ahead to fiber crop. Okay, fiber crops. Parag, sorry, I didn't get your query. For lamps, I didn't understand, and if you can be more clear. ठीक है? What do you understand by for lamps? If you're asking that any non-edible oil that can be used in lamps, so sorry, I don't have any idea. See, you can light up lamp from mustard oil also. Okay, mustard oil is also good for lighting diyas. If you see in Diwali, what we do, we use mustard oil for the lamps. Okay, scientific name. Regarding scientific name, again, I would say, remember if you can, just for the important crops, ठीक है? And I would say it will be not possible for you to cover each and every crop scientific name, and then you will see only one question will be there of regarding scientific name. So there I'm telling you few important crops. Just try to remember the scientific name of these. So there are few important cereal crops, which is rice, wheat, maize, then we have sorghum, barley. ठीक है? Remember all these scientific name. And then we have in the oil seed group, you will remember the scientific name of mustard. ठीक है? And scientific name of groundnut, soybean. These three are very important. If I talk about fiber crop, so remember the scientific name, there are only two fiber crop, groundnut and sorry, not groundnut, jute and cotton. ठीक है? So likewise, what you can do for each crop, like if we have some fruit crops also, mango, banana, papaya, you can easily remember the important, the common here name that you see, commonly you hear the name of which crop. Just try to remember the scientific name of these important crops. See, soybean is used both as a pulse crop as well as oilseed crop. ठीक है? It is kept under both. You can keep this under both the category, because soybean you consume also as a pulse, and we also use it as a oilseed crop because it has good amount of oil in it. ठीक है? So regarding scientific name, as I was telling you, try to learn the scientific name of common name that you hear, common crops that you hear. ठीक है? For under each category that we are discussing. Chalo. Fiber crop, very understandable or very easy to understand. The crop from which we are extracting some kind of fiber, or the crop which are used for fiber making. ठीक है? So I have already repeated so many times that we have two fiber crop. One is jute, another is cotton. Now from this fiber, many things can be made. ठीक है? You can make clothes, you can make paper, you can make ropes, you can make bags, right? So these are known as fiber crops. See, Om, rice bran oil is very specific. Okay, this is the, you can say, value addition of rice. You can, and it is not very commonly used. But rice specifically, you will keep under the cereal category. You cannot say rice as a oil seed crop. ठीक है? And or not only, and from not from the rice we are making the oil. We are making oil from the rice bran. We are extracting the bran, which is a thin layer outside the rice that we are using for making the oil. Okay, that is the another, part of rice that you are using for extracting the oil. You are not using entire rice seed for making the oil. Okay. Yes, hemp is also there for a fiber crop. ठीक है? Chalo, we'll see the classification. In that you will get clear. So these are the classification of fiber crop. So apart from your jute and cotton, we have some other crops from which the other part is can be used as a fiber crop. Most commonly we have two, jute and cotton, right? So if fruit of any crop, we have crops, if we are using fruit of any crop for extracting the fiber, like you have seen in, like you might have seen in the cotton, and you can see in the picture as well. This is the fruit of a cotton. ठीक है? And this fruit of cotton is producing cotton fiber, and we are extracting this cotton fiber, so that becomes the fruit fiber. ठीक है? Next we have is the stem fiber. When we use the stem of a plant to extract the fiber, that becomes your stem fiber. And next we have is the leaf fiber. And in some plant, leaves are also used for the extraction of fiber. That is your leaf or hard fiber. ठीक है? No need to go in depth. It is very rare chance that they will ask this kind of classification to you. Just for the understanding purpose, just remember that fiber can be extracted from fruit, stem, and leaf. This can be asked in the question. This is can be a good question, that fiber is extracted from which part of the plant. So if you get these three options, then you will tick obviously all of the above. ठीक है? चलो. Next we have is the sugar crops. Now what are sugar crops? As the name suggests, from which we are extracting sugar. ठीक है? So we have sugarcane and sugar beet. So sugarcane, you might have seen that sugarcane is grown, and this sugarcane is taken to the mills, and there these sugarcane are converted into the sugar that we consume on a day-to-day basis. ठीक है? So when the crop is used for when the crop are grown for the production of sugar and starch, these are called as sugar crops. ठीक है? There are two crops, sugar cane and sugar beet. ठीक है? Remember the scientific name. If you can see simultaneously also, if you can remember the scientific name, that's very good. At least the examples, like important examples, sugar cane, sugar beet. If you can remember the scientific name, you can learn, because they can be asked. ठीक है? Scientific name of any crop can be asked, so at least important one you should remember. Now, sugarcane is predominantly used in India for the production of sugar, but sugar beet is used in the foreign countries for the production of sugar. ठीक है? So this is the thing regarding sugar crops, and then we have some commercial crops. Now, students, commercial crop is basically a category. It's not any specific kind of crop will come under commercial crop, but when a farmer is growing any particular crop for trade purpose, not for the home consumption, but for the trade purpose. ठीक है? It can include your sugarcane. Again, sugarcane is the sugar crop and is also a commercial crop. Then it has cotton. Cotton is again a fiber crop and also a commercial crop. Then tobacco, it is a commercial crop. ठीक है? Where more than 75% of the produce is for the trade purpose, not for the home consumption. ठीक है? That category we say as commercial crop. ठीक है? When we are just using this crop for the sale purpose. Next we have is a forage crop. Now, till now, we have discussed how we are growing crop for the human consumption. Now, there is a category of crop where we are growing crop for the livestock. ठीक है? Livestock जो हैं, जो भी आपकी गाय भैंस है, वो क्या खाएंगे? What these livestock will eat? They will eat fodder, they will eat crops, right? So for that also we need to grow some kind of crop, and these crops are called forage crop. Okay, when specifically we are growing any kind of crop for feeding the livestock, that is your forage crop. Now there are few particular, specific forage crop, like okay, there are there are few crops that are specifically grown for the livestock. Like you can see here, guinea grass, steria, berseem is also very good example of forage crop. But students, see, you might have seen or you might have heard that maize is also used as a forage crop. So is maize a cereal crop or a forage crop? Again, here the purpose for which we are growing it is will vary. Okay, if we are growing maize for the corn purpose, then it is a cereal crop. If we are growing maize for feeding the livestock, then it is a forage crop. Okay, purpose is also very important, for which purpose we are growing any particular crop. Okay. Now, here what we do, we feed the vegetative matter of this particular crop. We are not concerned with the seed, or we are not concerned with the grain. We are not concerned with the end result. What we are concerned with? We are concerned with the lot of vegetative matter. So more the vegetative matter is, more the biomass is, that is for that forage crop is considered good. Okay, because here we need to fill the stomach of the livestock. We know we are not concerned with the grain part. Okay, so more the vegetative matter will be good, will be that for particular forage crop. So for forage crop we only refer to the vegetative matter, not for the end product or seed that we get from the any particular crop. Okay, it can be used fresh or preserved. See, a farmer can go to the field, cut the forage crop and feed to the livestock. Otherwise, what farmer can do is cut the crop and it can preserve these crops. Okay, because see, sometimes due on during off season where there is a lack of these forage crop, then also farmer need to have some stock of these forage crop for feeding the livestock. Okay, what the farmer do at that point of time? So when the production is good, the farmer, what they do, they use some part for feeding and some part is used for the preservation. So some part of forage crop is preserved for that time when there is lack of feed for the livestock. Okay, it can be preserved and utilized as a feed for the animal. Now, here we have four terms that is used here: fodder, hay, silage, and pasture. Okay, now what is the difference between a fodder, hay, and silage? So, students, fodder is basically any crop that is cut for the feeding of livestock. Okay, you are going to a field, you have a berseem field, you have a setaria field or a guinea grass field. You cut that field, you cut the guinea grass or the setaria, you feed your livestock. That is the fodder. Now fodder is anything, fodder can be anything, fodder can be these grasses, fodder can be your maize, fodder can be your rice straw, wheat straw, anything is your fodder. Okay, that can be used for the feeding the livestock. They are fodder. Now what is hay and silage here? Hay is basically when you are cutting any grass or cutting any forage crop and you are drying it. Okay, what you have done, you will dry it for preservation purpose. You will bring down the moisture level of that particular fodder crop, and once the moisture level is brought down, what you do, you stack up that forage crop for future. Okay, so this, when you are using this technique for the storage, that will be called as hay. Okay, I hope this is clear. When we are cutting any forage crop, bringing down the moisture content, we are drying it, sun drying it, then storing it for the future use, that is a hay. And silage on the other term is that when again we are storing the crop, but here the practice that is used is different. What we do, we cut any forage crop, we store it, and we allow some kind of fermentation to go on this crop and grow in this crop. And when a particular pH is attained or particular particular condition is attained in this forage crop, then we call it as a silage, and again this silage is stored for the future use. Okay, so the technique that we are using for the preservation makes the difference of hay and silage. Okay, in hay that direct drying is done, in silage we are we are fermenting the crop and then we are storing it for the later use. Okay, what are pastures? Pastures are basically big land mass which have grasses, and they are covered with the grasses, and there you can just leave your livestock and they can rear and they can eat the grasses from these pastures. Pastures are basically term used for the landmass which are covered with grasses. ठीक है? I hope now these four terms are very clear to you all. ठीक है? चलो. Now, this is the silage crop. Now, important thing to learn from here is the example of silage crop. So, corn is the example of silage crop. All your legumes can be used as a silage crop, and grasses that we have can be used as a silage crop. Corn is an important example because it has been asked in the examination, and it can be asked to you. Okay? So, what we do in the silage crop, we cut them, finely chopped them, and then we store them in silo or trenches, and we allow it to ferment. And after a period of time, when there is a lack of water, then we feed them to the livestock. ठीक है? Other example, maize, cowpea, jowar, sorghum. ठीक है? Very important. Remember at least the example. It can be asked to you. Yeah, sure. I'll surely answer your query. Don't worry. ठीक है? At the end, I'll take each and everyone's query. Don't worry. Just let me complete this chapter and then I'll take each and every one query. ठीक है? Now next we have is a green manure crop. ठीक है? So students, what is a manure? ठीक है? Manure, anything that is adding nutrient to the soil is called manure, right? Now, what is the meaning of green manure crop? So there are some crops which can be used as a manure in the soil. These are green manure crops. Now, what we do here, we grow these crops. Like we have sun hemp and hecha. ठीक है? What we do, we grow these crops, and before flowering or before after attaining some kind of vegetative height, we cut all these plant and we chop these plant and we incorporate all these vegetative tissue into the soil. Now, why we are doing so? Because these are the plants which again have the ability to fix atmospheric nitrogen, as well as these are the plants when we do such practices and when we add these plant to the to the soil, it will add, when this plant will decompose, when the decomposition process will happen in these plants will add nutrient to the soil. Okay, so in order to increase the nutrient status of soil, what we do, we go for growing of green manure crop, and these green manure crops can be grown in the in the field, and before reaching maturity or before completing the vegetative phase, we cut them down, we chop them and incorporate into the soil. And while decomposing, when the microorganism will act on these plant, we will decompose it. And while decomposing, slowly and slowly, nutrient will be released to the soil. Okay? So these are the green manure crop. Just remember this thing. Green manure. Okay, why we cut them before flowering? See, because when the plant mature, there are so many deposition that happens in plant. See, a lignin formation happens. There are other kind of chemicals that start forming, making the plant hardy. If the plant become hardy, it will be not easily for the microorganism to decompose the hard plant. So we try to incorporate the succulent plant, okay, which is less hardy. So that is the reason why we incorporate them before flowering. Clear? Okay, let's move ahead to the other classification, that is spices and condiments. Again, students, spices and condiments that we everyone know, okay, because we eat a lot of spices on the day-to-day basis. So all the crops that we use as a spices and condiments that we use for adding flavor, adding taste to our food, they are the part of spices and condiments groups. Okay. Now let's move on to the another basis of classification, that is based on the life cycle. Okay, so based on the life cycle, we have annual crop, biennial crop, and perennial crop. ठीक है? Now, what is the difference here? Annual, see, first we'll understand the life cycle of a crop. What we do, we sow the seed. ठीक है? This seed will germinate. The seed will germinate. ठीक है? And initially, vegetative cycle will be complete. Vegetative cycle will complete means all the plant will grow, stem will come, there will be foliage increase, there will be so lots of leaf coming out of the plant, right? So this completes the vegetative cycle. Now after the vegetative cycle, when all the leaves and everything has come out, what will happen? The plant will start producing flowers. ठीक है? It will start producing flowers, and inside flowers the plant will produce seeds. Now again this seed can be extracted, harvested from the plant and used for the next generation. So this is a complete life cycle of a plant. ठीक है? So based on the period in which this life cycle is completed by a particular plant, it is classified as annual, biennial and perennial crops. Now what are annual crops? Annual means the crops which can complete their life cycle within 1 year. ठीक है? Within 1 year, if any crop is completing its life cycle, they are annual crops. Next is biennial crops. Any crop completing their life cycle, any crop require more than 1 year or two, we can say specifically 2 years for completing the life cycle, they are biennial crops like your sugar beet. And if they require more than 2 years for completing their life cycle, that is the perennial crops. ठीक है? I hope this is a very simple classification that should be understood to you. ठीक है? चलो. Next is based on the botanical classification. Now in crops, usually we are concerned with the angiosperm crops. Now again, this is a classification, botanical classification that goes behind, ठीक है, when we discuss the plants. So we have gymnosperm plants and angiosperm plants. So gymnosperms are basically those plants where the seeds are naked, and mostly our crops fall under the angiosperm category. So we will understand these angiosperm plants. Okay? So our crops are basically under angiosperm category, and under this angiosperm we have types of crops which are producing two different types of seeds. Okay? If any plant have seed which have only one cotyledon means when you will break the cotyledon, you will not be able to break it into two equal halves. That means that particular crop has only one cotyledon, and this crop is monocotyledon crop. ठीक है? Means this crop seed has only one cotyledon in it. ठीक है? Just understand it. And if you are able to break the seed into two equal half, that is dicotyledon. This particular crop seed has a dicotyledon, means it has two cotyledon in it. ठीक है? That is the difference here. Monocot and dicot. Just remember, monocot means one cotyledon, dicot means two cotyledon. ठीक है? Next, based on the season, just give me a minute, guys. Okay, let's start with again based on our season. The classification we have is Kharif crop, Rabi crop, and summer crop, or Zaid crop. It is also known. ठीक है? So you might have often heard that in agriculture we use term kharif or rabi. We do not use winter crops, or we do not say summer season or winter season specifically, right? We use kharif crop. Always the MSP is also released as per the kharif market season or rabi market season. So these are basically specific term used in agriculture for different season. Now what is a kharif crop? Basically kharif crop are those crops which are sown in the monsoon season. ठीक है? So for crop where we are dependent on monsoon, ठीक है? These are kharif crops. Now example here is rice, maize, groundnut, and sowing time here is June, July, and harvesting time is September, October. ठीक है? Students, important है, you have to know when we sow this kharif crop and when we harvest it, as well as few examples. This can be asked. ठीक है? Not asked yet, but can be asked. Have the rough idea. This is not a hard and fast rule. इतने से इतना ही होगा. हर variety के लिए, हर crop के लिए this can change, but just remember, have the rough idea that in June, July, when the monsoon start, the Kharif season crop, we sow the Kharif season crop, and at the end of October we harvest it. ठीक है? Then we have Rabi crop. After Kharif crop, we have Rabi season. ठीक है? Kharif season we have Rabi season, and in Rabi season we sow the Rabi crop. Now wheat, oat, barley, potato, black gram, all these are the examples of Rabi crops sown during October, November, and harvested till March, April. Now here, if any crop, if any crop can be harvested earlier in the Rabi season, so we get a time span of 2-3 months. That is a Z season, or summer season that we say, and that we can grow few crops like your pulses crop, where the life cycle can be completed within the 2 to 3 months. Okay, so here we grow the Zayed crops, and it is usually grown during February, March, and harvested during May, June, that is before your Kharif season. So example here is black gram, green gram, and all your pulses are the example of Zayed crop. Okay. Now, based on mode of pollination, also we have a classification. For that, we need to understand the flower morphology. Okay. So students, in flower, if we see see, in any crop, end product is seed, right? Any crop is surviving until it is producing the seed. Again, when it produces the seed, the whole plant dries up, and we extract the seed out of it. So seed production is very important. And how the seed production happens? Due to the process of pollination. And this pollination process is very, very important. You might have heard this thing also previously, that if bees do not pollinate our crops, we will starve. Okay, there is a complete one movie based on this concept. So if insects or any pollination agent do not pollinate our crops, we will starve, because we will not have seed to consume. We will not have grains to consume, right? So here is the morphology of a flower. So in flower, flower, the two important thing that we have to understand for pollination purpose is the male part that consists of anther and filament. It is known as stamen. ठीक है? And the female part that is known as carpel, and it has stigma, which is the upper portion. Then we have style, which is this long tube, and then ovary, which is associated below the style. ठीक है? Now in this ovary we have egg cells, and from this anther the pollens are formed, and these pollens get should be transferred from male part to the female part, so that it can fertilize this egg cell and form the seeds. Okay, so this is the process of how seeds are formed, and how this pollination is very important for our crops. Now let us understand what is pollination again. So pollination is basically, just let me erase this. So pollination is basically, okay, it is basically the transferring of pollen grain from male anther to the female stigma. I have told you, ठीक है, what is pollination? Pollination is basically transfer of male anther to the female stigma. Clear? So this pollination process is very important, and based on this, we have again a classification based on the type of pollination that is happening. Okay, whether it is happening by self in the flower, or whether it is happening through cross. Okay, because in some flowers you will see male and female male and female part is already there in the flower. Okay, and if male and female part is already there in the flower, so the pollen will get transferred from the male part to the female part of its own flower. ठीक है? This type of pollination is known as self-pollination. And the crops in which self-pollination happens, they are called self-pollinated crops. Clear? Now, your rice, wheat, these are the self-pollinated crop. Okay, there the pollination happens self. Okay, they do not need any agent to pollinate them. Okay, so these are self-pollination. This is self-pollination, and crops under this category are known as self-pollinated crops. Next we have is cross-pollination. What is the meaning of cross-pollination? As the name suggests, that where there is some agent which is required to take pollen from one one plant to the female part of other plant. Okay, there are some flowers which have only either the male part or the female part, or there can be something in some flowers there is a incapability, or we can say that they are not capable of self pollinating themselves. So there we need some kind of agent that can pollinate these flowers. Okay, and this type of pollination when happens in crops, that is known as cross pollination. Okay, maize is the very good example of cross pollination. Okay, now what are agent of pollination? Agent of pollination means the people, or the things behind that are behind the pollination, means that are facilitating the process of pollination. So we have some abiotic agents and some biotic agent. Now meaning of abiotic and biotic, basically abiotic means non-living things, biotic means living things. Clear? Now, under abiotic agent, we have wind and water. Okay? Wind can blow the pollen from one flower and can land it onto the female part of other plant that is called as wind pollination. Water can also take away pollen from one part or the one flower and drop it onto the other flower. That is the water pollination. Okay? So, wind and water pollination, these are part of abiotic because they are non-living, right? Next, we have some living agent also involved in the pollination, which includes birds. Okay, birds birds move from flower to flower. So along with their movement, they carry these pollen from flower to flower. Some reptiles also help in the pollination. Okay, mammals also help in the pollination. We ourselves also help in pollination. You might have seen while walking, we carry so much, sometimes some pollens get stick to our clothes, and we carry these pollen from one part to the another plant. Okay, then insects, obviously bees are the very classic example of pollination. Okay, so now there are few terminology associated with the pollination agent that you have to understand. See students, this can be asked in the examination, so just understand the meaning of, or learn the terms associated with pollination. So if water pollination happens, that is known as hydrophily. Okay, question can be asked, what is the meaning of hydrophily, or what is the term given for the water pollination? That is hydrophily. For wind pollination, it is given anemophily. For pollination by animal, it is called zoophily. Pollination by insect, it is known as entomophily. Okay, just remember the terms associated with different types of pollination agent. Now we have two terms that is very important based on the type of flower that a crop have. So a crop can be monoecious, a crop can be dioecious. Now, what is the meaning of monoecious? So, students, monoecious means when a particular crop has both male and female part present in it. Okay? Like for example, in maize, this is the diagram of maize. Okay? You might have seen, if you might have seen the maize plant, you will see one tassel on the head of the maize and a cob that arises from the alternate arm of the alternate pattern of the plant. Okay, so here the cob comes from this part and the tassel is on the head part. So this tassel is basically, this upper part is the male flower or the male part of that particular plant, and this cob is basically the female part. Okay, now here we can see male and female, both parts are present in one particular plant. Male and female flowers, both type of flowers are present in one particular plant. These plants are known as monoecious plant. Okay, means mono means one, and have both type of flowers, male flower as well as female flower. It is monoecious. Now we have some dioecious. Now you might have heard this, that papaya are dioecious plant. Dioecious plant means we need to grow two plant together in order to obtain produce. Okay, we need to grow one female papaya plant and one male papaya plant in order to produce papaya. So why so? Because again, papaya will either have the female flower or the male flower. That is why it is required to grow at least two plant of the papaya. Okay? So such crops which have such kind of morphology, they are dioecious plant. Clear? Okay. Let's move ahead and discuss the next classification system, that is based on the depth of root system. Now students, see, different crops have different type of root system, ठीक है, and these roots have different depth also, ठीक है, means to what depth they are going inside the soil. Based on that also we have a classification. Now, based on root depth of the root system, we have shallow rooted crops, we have intermediate rooted crops, and we have deep rooted crops. Now, as the name, it is clear that shallow rooted crops have crops which are present shallow in the shallow surface, okay, which are just present in the top surface. ठीक है? Okay, Nikita has asked about the often pollinated crops. So, Nikita, see, basically, there are few crops which can be cross pollinated and uh, often pollinated. See, there is a term often cross pollinated. So, there are some crops which can be self pollinated and there are some crops which can be cross pollinated. ठीक है? Means, but if the percentage of cross pollination in them is more, then we call them as a often cross pollinated crops. ठीक है? I hope this is clear to you. We see that to what extent self is happening and cross is happening, and based on that we say it is often cross pollinated. I hope this is clear, Nikita. Chalo, with ठीक है, so with that we okay, example of often cross pollinated. So right now, yes, I think cotton is the example, and I'll be honest. I right now I cannot come up with the example of often cross pollinated, but yes, there are few crops that happens. Okay, Kahana has written some example, cotton and sorghum. So yes, so guys, see, this is something which is very related to core agriculture, okay, and you don't have to go in that depth. This is a very rare chance that such question will be asked to you. So, but still, it's good to have the knowledge, right? Chalo, we have shallow root crops, intermediate root crops, and deep root crops. Then, name itself suggests shallow root means we have shallow root that do not go penetrate to the much depth. Here, example are wheat, barley, and rye. Okay, ठीक है. Next, we have intermediate root crop. The range here is 1 to 1.5 meter, and depth in the deep rooted crop, the range is more than 1.5 meter. Here, example is alfalfa. ठीक है. Example of intermediate is faba bean and sugar beet. Then again, the root system is also of two type. First is tap root system and another is fibrous root system. ठीक है? First is tap root system and another is fibrous root system. So tap root system is basically the one where the main root is going deep into the soil. See, in when the root develop in the plant, so there is one main root that goes deep inside the soil, and then there are some fibrous root, or you can say the lateral roots that develop from this main root. Okay, so this is becomes a complete root system of a plant. But there are few crops where there is a no distinction between this tap root and the lateral root. So they have all the roots of same size. Means they you will see bunch of root below these type of crops, and this type of root system is known as fibrous root system. Okay, so we have taproot system, fibrous root system. This particular is example of taproot system, and here it is example of fibrous root system. Okay, so I hope this is also clear to you what is taproot system and what is fibrous root system. So all your cereal crops like rice, wheat, these have the fibrous root system. If you will just pluck this plant, you will see it is first of all it is it will easily come out, and you will see the root system is not very deep. It is just a shallow root, and it is a fibrous in nature. Okay. Chalo. Now next we have is a based on climate. So based on climate we have temperate zone crop, tropical zone crop, and subtropical zone crop. Okay, so what I'll do now, if you want more examples, see examples are given here. If you want more examples, so I will add more example to these. Okay, if you want more examples. Chalo. Richa, see, you already have the summary sheet, right? So I would suggest you to highlight everything on the summary sheet. Okay? Right now, if you will make notes, that will just, you might end up just making notes. You will need time for revision as well. So it's up to you if you want to make, if you're comfortable. But my suggestion to you is just have the summary sheet open with you and listen to what I'm saying and try to mark it, and later on just revise it for the 15 minute. ठीक है? चलो. So we have, see, temperate zone, we have tropical zone, we have subtropical zone. ठीक है? तो based on which crop is grown in which particular zone, we have temperate zone crops, tropical zone crops, and subtropical zone crops. Examples are here. Temperate are basically those zones or those regions where the temperature can go below 0 degree Celsius. Okay, like your Himachal Pradesh, your Uttarakhand, Jammu Kashmir, these are the part of temperate zone because here temperature may drop below zero. Then we have tropical zone. So all your South India is the part of tropical zone where there is a intense heat. ठीक है? And we have subtropical zone which is in between temperate and tropical zone. And you know, the crop of subtropical zone, they can tolerate some kind of freezing temperature also and some kind of high temperature also, so they are in between. So here we have the example of temperate, tropical, and subtropical as well. Next is based on the nutrient uptake. Now, based on nutrient uptake, we have restorative crop and exhaustive crop. Means how the crop is taking the nutrient from the soil based on that. So see, some crops do not return nutrient to back to the soil. Means I've told you about the pulses. So pulses are the crops that takes up the nutrient from the soil, but also they add nutrient to the soil. Means also they have ability to fix nutrient to the soil. So they are restorative crop. Means they restore the nutrient status of the soil. So that's why they are called restorative crop. Just remember this thing. Restorative means crops which are able to restore the nutrient status of the soil. So all your legumes, they are part of the restorative crop. Then we have exhaustive crop. Exhaustive crop is basically the crop which feed heavily on the soil and are not able to replenish the nutrient back to the soil. So example is sorghum and sunflower and all your cereal crops, they are the part of exhaustive crop. ठीक है? Now next classification is based on the CO2 fixation. Now students, see why carbon dioxide is being fixed in the plant. Basically plant need carbon dioxide for making carbohydrate. ठीक है? And that process is known as photosynthesis, through which carbohydrate is being synthesized in the plant and plant is making their food, right? So it is very important that to understand how this CO2 is being fixed in the plant, and based on the process in which CO2 is being fixed in different types of crop, we have a classification again. Because for all crop, it's not just one pathway. There are 2 3 pathway that is different for different category of crops, and based on that we have this classification. ठीक है? Now, what is carbon fixation? Basically, the conversion of inorganic carbon to the organic compound. Now, what is inorganic carbon? What is the source of inorganic carbon? Atmosphere, obviously. So, from atmosphere, plant is absorbing the carbon dioxide and it is converting this carbon dioxide into the carbohydrate. ठीक है? That is the carbon dioxide fixation. And this process is known as photosynthesis, which we all know. ठीक है? It is commonly known as photosynthesis. Now, this is a chemical equation of this photosynthesis process. 6 carbon dioxide molecule combined with 6 water molecule in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll forms the carbon dioxide, and so form the carbohydrate and releases the oxygen. ठीक है? Now, students, it is very important for this process of carbon dioxide, for this process of photosynthesis to happen, that we have the presence of sunlight as well as presence of this pigment, that is chlorophyll. Now, this chlorophyll is the pigment due to which the plants are imparting green color. ठीक है? Due to which the plants are of green in color, because this chlorophyll pigment, what it does, it traps the sunlight for plant. Okay, this chlorophyll, no need to learn this formula. Just remember what is the reaction, that is carbon dioxide molecule just mixed with the water molecule and forms the carbohydrate. ठीक है? And releases the oxygen. So that is how the plants are releasing the oxygen and taking up the carbon dioxide. Okay, this is also one way to see it. And the sunlight is very important, I have told you, because sunlight, I will be telling you why sunlight is important. Sunlight is important for this process to happen, and chlorophyll is the pigment that is trapping the sunlight for plant. ठीक है? Now let's understand, these are the 4 important components for photosynthesis to happen. ठीक है, first V is carbon dioxide. I have told you because plant has to make a carbon compound, that is carbohydrate, and it needs some source of carbon. So that source of carbon is atmosphere, and in the form of carbon dioxide, plant is taking it. Next is water. Then we have sunlight and chlorophyll. ठीक है. Now in plant cell, what happened? The chlorophyll. Okay, the chlorophyll, what it does, like for say this is a chlorophyll. This chlorophyll traps the sunlight. Okay, it trap the sunlight and it break water molecule into hydrogen ion and oxygen. Okay, so this happens inside the plant cell, and chlorophyll help in breaking the water into hydrogen ion and oxygen. This oxygen get released into atmosphere, and this hydrogen ion is very important because it activates some energy packets in the plant, or it activates some form of energy in this plant that helps in conversion of carbon dioxide into the glucose. Okay, so this is the process that happens inside the plant cells and how the carbon dioxide get converted into glucose. Okay, I will again repeat. Chlorophyll will trap the sunlight, and with the help of this sunlight, the water will split into hydrogen ion and oxygen. Oxygen get released into the atmosphere. Hydrogen ion that reduce, that help in activation of some energy packets, and these energy packets activation will lead to the formation of carbon dioxide into the glucose. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now let's understand the mechanism. Now students, see, there are two things that happens in the cell. Okay, first is light reaction and next is the dark reaction. Light reaction is the name of this. You can consider that this process happen in two phases. Okay, first is the light phase and second is the dark phase. So why we are saying it a light reaction? Because it requires sunlight. Okay, so that's why we call it light reaction. Next phase is known as dark reaction. It doesn't mean that it is happening in the night or it is happening in the dark, but it do not depend on the sunlight. That's why we are calling it as dark reaction. Okay, so two reactions happens here. First is light reaction. It is also known as primary photochemical reaction. It is another name is Hill's reaction, Anand cycle. Okay, here you have to just understand what are these terms, what happens here, that's sufficient to know. Okay, then we have dark reaction. It is also known as Blackman's reaction, path of carbon in photosynthesis. Now as I was telling you, the first phase is where light is required. This is the first reaction, that is light reaction. Here ATP and NADPH2 are produced. Now these are the energy packet that I was talking about. These are the form of energy that get released after this, that get released in this light reaction. Okay, so the hydrogen ion, what that do, that hydrogen ion get attached to NADP and convert it into the NADPH. Okay, again this is the form of energy that helps in reducing carbon dioxide into the glucose. Okay, it is also known as Hill reaction because Hill proves that oxygen is produced by splitting of water, and it is known as Anand cycle because Anand proves that hydrogen that that release from the breaking of water, that reduce NADP into NADPH. That's why this other name of these cycles are given Hill reaction or Anand cycle. Clear? Coming to the dark reaction, now once this ATP and NADPH2 are produced, now next step is to convert CO2 into the glucose. So now this, with the help of this ATP and NADPH2, this CO2 get converted into the glucose. Okay, and the concept of dark reaction photosynthesis, it was initially explained by the Blackman, इसीलिए इसको Blackman reaction भी बोलते हैं. And another two type of cyclic reactions occur, that they are known as Calvin cycle, that is C3 और C3 cycle, and Hagen-Slack or C4 cycle. ठीक है, so basically जो आपका CO2 है, that get converted into glucose with the help of two pathway, either C3 pathway or C4 pathway, and based on that we will understand the classification. Now this is the important thing to understand, that the CO2 that is getting converted into glucose, it is either from the C3 cycle, that is known as Calvin cycle, or from the C4 cycle, that is known as Hagen-Slack cycle. Okay, this was the important thing that you have to understand. I hope the thing is clear to you. I know it's going bit fast, but yes, we have the time constraint. So I hope if there's any doubt, you can ask me, but I hope this is clear. Okay? Okay. So next, let's understand the classification. Now, this is very, very important and it can be asked in your examination. So here the thing is, those plant where the C3 cycle happens for conversion of CO2 into glucose, they are known as C3 plants. Plants where C4 cycle happen, they are known as C4 C4 plant. Majority of plants belong to the C3 category. Only 3% of the plant belonging to the plant kingdom are of the C4 category. Okay? Now, apart from your C3 and C4, there are some plants which are found in very desert condition. Okay? So now plant which are present in the desert. See how the plant is absorbing carbon dioxide. Plant open up the stomata because these are the pores that end from which anything can enter or anything can exit out, right? Now plant open stomata, the pore basically this is a leaf of a plant for say. These leaves have small, small pores that is known as stomata. And now these stomata are the pathway of gases exchange. So if O2 goes out, that goes out from the stomata, and CO2 comes in, that comes in from the stomata. Clear? Now, when the plant opens stomata during daytime for the absorption of CO2, ठीक है? For the absorption of CO2, then this cycle get activated either C3 or C4. But if the same thing happens, if the same thing will happen for the desert plant, where already there we have scarcity of water, because when this stomata opens, water get also lost from the plant body. ठीक है? So if these desert crops which are present in the deserty condition, they will open up their stomata during daytime. What will happen? They can lose more amount of water, and they cannot afford to lose more amount of water because they are already present in the water scarce condition. So what these plants do, they reverse this thing. They rather what they do, they open their stomata during night time and closes it during the daytime. Usually what happens, plant opens stomata during daytime closes at the night time. But reverse happen in these plants, and these plants are called as CAM plants. Okay, and the full form of CAM is castellarian acid metabolism, because a reverse metabolism is happening here. Okay, just understand this thing. So what this plant will do, they will trap all carbon dioxide during the night time, and they will store it during the night time, and they will convert it into the glucose. The conversion part happen during the daytime. Okay, while the reverse happen in the C3 and C4 plant. So that is the difference between C3, C4 and CAM plant. Okay, and that is what is written in this table. Just know the example. Very important to understand, to learn the example of C4 plant because they are often asked. So we have sugarcane, maize, sorghum and millet. These are the example of C4 plant, and usually they are asked in the examination. Okay, so just read this table by at your end, and you can read it right now also. Take the screenshot. If you find anything difficult, just let me know. Okay, rest I have explained you everything that is written here. Chalo. With that, let's move on to the other basis of classification, that is based on the special purpose. So based on the purpose of for which we are growing any particular crop, we have again a classification. Okay? So first is areable. First we have is areable crop. So guys, just give me a minute. I'll come within a minute. Okay, I'll come within. Okay, so I'm so sorry, students. Actually, I'm not feeling well these days, so just need to take short break. So, okay, let's resume the class. And based on special purpose, we were discussing the classification, right? So, first is arable crops. So, what is the meaning of arable crop basically? These crops means any crop is arable crop. Now, whenever we are required to plow the land, okay, whenever we are required to plow the land for cultivation of any crop, ठीक है, तो that these type of crops are known as arable crops, ठीक है, crops which are cultivated on plowed land, which are cultivated on plough land. See, some there are some degraded land as well. Now you will be saying that, ma'am, for every crop to we plough land, right? So there are some degraded land as well, and there we use different management practices. Like we go for growing forest in these degraded lands. So that will not come under arable crop. Okay, that will not come under arable land. Rather, the fields that we are managing for which we are specifically plowing the land, we are specifically preparing the land and then growing the crop. These crops are these crops which for which this such preparation is done, they are known as arable crops. ठीक है? Now, they are annual crops which include root crop, tobacco, sugarcane, maize. Because you might have seen that yearly, manipulation happens in the land based on the season, based on the crop. We grow one crop, we prepare the land, grow one crop, then again we harvest it, again prepare the crop for the next crop and harvest it. So all these crops for which such preparation is done initially, they are called arable crops. Next we have is aromatic crop. Now, aromatic crop is basically, as the name suggests, aroma. So, some kind of aroma is associated with this crop. Okay? They have some kind of volatile substance or they have some kind of fragrance associated with them. So, these crops which have such aroma, such fragrance are aromatic crops. Okay? Citronella, mint, patachuli, lemongrass, these are the example of aromatic crops. Next we have is augment crop. ठीक है? What is the meaning of augment crop? So there are few crops. What they do when we grow these crop with some other crop, they supplement the yield of other crop. ठीक है? Example as here it is given Japanese mustard with berseem. So what is the meaning here? That when we grow Japanese mustard along with berseem, now this berseem is a fodder crop. ठीक है? This was the same fodder crop which was I was discussing earlier. So when we grow Japanese mustard with berseem, the yield of berseem get more. So if earlier you were getting 10 tons of yield, you will see after growing Japanese mustard, you get 12 ton or 13 ton of yield of berseem. So such crops which supplement the yield of main crop, these crops are known as augment crop. Here Japanese mustard is augment crop with berseem. ठीक है? Yes, Parag, say, if you can say likewise also, for which tillage or plowing is done, they are arable crops. No, Japanese is not the main crop. Japanese mustard is the augment crop. Main crop is berseem. Okay. Next we have is avenue crop. Now, what is the meaning of avenue crop? So you might have seen some crops are grown on the roadside. Some crops are grown on the border of the farm as a fence. So when the purpose of crop is to just provide a definite boundary, these are crops are called as avenue crop. Okay, you can see the farm road or the fences, some kind of crops are grown. Sometimes you will see that while traveling on the road, you will see on the both sides few crops or trees are grown. So these are called avenue crops. Okay, such crops which are grown for on the roadside or on the fences or on the boundaries, they are avenue crop. Clear? Example is pigeon pea, gly, uh, Glycidia sisal. Okay, these are the example. Trees, forest trees or the forest crops can be example of avenue crop again. Okay? Next we have is catch or contingent crop. Now students, sometimes what happen, farmer grow uh, major crops, but it can happen that there due to some mishap there is a less production of any particular crop. So within the gap between two crops, farmer can quickly take a catch crop so that it can, overcome the losses that it has faced, he or she has faced during the main crop. So these crops are called catch crop or contingent crop. No, no, it's not important. Just remember what is the meaning of augment crop. Okay. Okay, example of catch crop. Like for example, a farmer grow rice. Okay, and some diseases occur and the rice production was not good. Now what can farmer go? Farmer will go next for the wheat. But after rice and wheat, there is some time duration that the farmer can get, and farmer can grow pulses. So if a farmer is growing pulses, so he will get some kind of return from the pulses also. So what he can do, he can overcome the losses that he has faced in the rice production, right? Okay. In catch crop, see, it's not no, it's not. It's see, as an here it is written, crop incidentally planned. Okay, when something happened, then the farmer plan, okay, this can be my backup. You can say this is a backup crop which can be grown if there is any mishap that happened for the main crop. Okay, simultaneously they cannot go for both crops. Or what the farmer can do, they can go for relay crop. If he have already seen that no, this crop is not performing well, what can I do? I can go for relay crop, means I can sow seed of other crop before the harvesting of the previous one, and till the time the crop will get moisture from the field, and I will have one other crop for the coming season. ठीक है. So simultaneously it is not always there कि simultaneously there will be two crop, but the catch crops are basically planned crops, which are planned when the losses are there in the main crop. Clear? Chalo. Next we have is the contour crops. So, next we'll discuss the contour crops. So what are contour crops? First, let us understand what are contours. So when we have any elevated land, okay, where the land has some kind of elevation. So when we join the point, uh, when we join the point of same elevation, like this is also having the same elevation, this is also the same elevation, and you join these 2 points of same elevation, this is known as contour line. Okay, this line is known as contour line. And when we grow crops on these contour lines, okay, that is known as contour crops. The crops that can be grown on these contour lines are contour crops. You can see in the picture also, this is the elevated land, and here on the contour lines crops is grown. Okay. Now purpose here is to protect the soil, because in the elevated land usually it happens that soil erosion happens. Soil slips, and the erosion can happen. So these crop, what they do, the root of these crops hold the soil and it prevent the soil erosion. Okay, so this is the example. So this is the meaning of contour crop. Okay. Next we have is complementary crop. Now what is complementary? Complementary, as the name suggests, when both the crop get benefited. Means we have a main crop and we have an intercrop. Now understand the meaning of intercrop here. So basically we are, for example, if you want to grow wheat, ठीक है, but you also want one more crop in the same field. So what you will do intercropping of wheat with some other crop which can be mustard, right? So what you will do, you will grow main crop as a wheat, but few area you will assign to the mustard also. So what you can do, you can grow 9 lines of wheat and 1 line of mustard. Similarly, 9 lines of wheat, 1 line of mustard, or you can go for 1 line of mustard, 1 line of wheat. Okay, but your primary crop will be wheat and intercrop will be mustard. Okay, I will be completing this chapter. Okay, don't worry, the complete chapter will be I'll complete this chapter, and from tomorrow I'll cover the third and fourth chapter. Now we have main crop and intercrop. And when both these crop, when see, I have told you then, when we are growing two crops and both the crops are benefiting each other, then these crop pair will be called as complementary crops, ठीक है, like ज्वार and lobia. So when these pair occurs, they are known as complementary crops. Next we have is competitive crop. Now students, there can be some crop pair which can compete for the land, which can compete for the nutrient, which can compete for the moisture, which can compete for the resources in the field. So they are called as competitive crops, means when they will compete, when two crops compete for the same thing. Okay, it can be nutrient, it can be moisture. So no two cereal crops can be grown together. Okay, difference between augment and complementary crop. See, in augment crop, I told you that one crop will supplement the yield of other. Means one crop will have the normal yield and other crop will show increase in yield. Like Berseem was showing high increase in yield, while Japanese mustard yield will be same. But complementary crop, you will not see the increase in yield in both the crop. They will be benefiting each other in other way, in some or other way, but it's not necessary that yield will increase. ठीक है, यहाँ पे दोनों ही क्रॉप बेनिफिट हो रही है, वहां पे एक क्रॉप ज्यादा बेनिफिट हो रही है जिससे उसका यील्ड भी बढ़ रही है. दैट इज द डिफरेंस. नेक्स्ट इज फाउलिंग क्रॉप. व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ फाउलिंग क्रॉप बेसिकली? सो there are few crops when we grow these crop, and the practices of these crop, the cultivation practices of these crop increase the weed infestation. ठीक है, such crops are called fouling crops. When there is any crop where we are growing these crop and the practices of these crops are increasing the weed infestation in the field, these are called fouling crops. Now here is the example of direct seeded upland rice. Now, see, rice is sown usually by transplanting method. Okay, where what we do puddling, we provide a stagnant water condition, and then we transplant the rice in the field. That is the usual practice. But sometimes in the areas where there is less water, they also want to grow rice, but they do not have much water. So what they'll do, they will directly broadcast the rice seed into the field, and based on the moisture present in the field and based on the rainfall, the rice will grow. But due to this direct sowing, what will happen? There is no anaerobic condition, all the weed will be there, all the weed infestation will be there. So if you will compare the rice sown in the transplanting method, rice sown in the direct method, weed infestation is more in the direct method. Now when we are sowing rice as a direct crop, or the direct seeding is done of the rice, then this rice crop become the fouling crop, because now this crop has allowed the infestation of weeds to grow. So that is the meaning of fouling crop. Clear? I hope this is clear. Infestation मतलब जैसे वीट ग्रो करना, ज्यादा ज्यादा इन्फेस्ट करना, उसको खराब करना, या फिर ज्यादा वीड्स ग्रो होना. ठीक है, इन्फेस्टेशन मीन्स ओके, इन्फेस्टेशन मीन्स यू व्हाट यू कैन से प्रेवलेंट, प्रेवलेंस, वीड की प्रेवलेंस को बढ़ाना या वीड के नंबर ऑफ वीड ग्रोथ को इंक्रीज करना. ठीक है, देखो, fouling crop basically are those crops, the cultural practice of those which crop increase the infestation of weeds. Now sometimes what can happen that we are growing any crop, ठीक है, for example you want to grow rice crop, but you do not have enough water. For rice we know lot of water is required. So what you do, you choose a cultural practice where you said that okay, I will not be transplanting the rice, rather what I'll do, I will sow the rice directly to the field, like we sow the wheat and other crops. So you sow rice directly to the field. Now this is the practice that you adopted, and due to this practice you will see weed infestation is more in this particular type of rice. If you would have gone for the transplanting method, there would have been stagnant water condition, and the weed due to lack of oxygen they would have not grown. There the weed will suppress, but in the direct sowing, weed growth will increase. So that is the meaning of fouling crop. ठीक है? Yes, Ayushi, we cannot go for fouling crop for commercial purpose, because again, the weed will also compete with your crop for water and resources. And ultimately, there will be less production. ठीक है? this is only followed in the places where there is a lack of water, okay, and people do not have any source of water. So what they do, they follow this practice, and usually production is less in this upland rice condition. Okay, what is transplanting? Transplanting is basically when we are, you know, in rice, what we do, we first sow the nursery of the seed. You might have seen that on a small land area, we sow a seed of rice, and after 20 to 25 days, we pluck out these seedlings, which are 20 to 25 days old, and then we transfer it into the main field. Okay, this process is known as transplanting. Making a small area nursery, growing the seed there, then after 20 to 25 days, plucking out the seedling and transferring it into the main field. That is the process known as transplanting. Okay. Next is mulch crop. Now, students, to understand mulch crop, understand the meaning of mulch. What is the meaning of mulch? Anything that is used to cover the soil so that the moisture can be stored, so that the soil can be protected. Okay, so that is known as mulch. Now, if we use anything, be it the grass, be it any straw, be it your any plastic mulch, also plastic, to cover the soil so that the moisture get protected in the soil. Okay, see, if we will provide a covering over the soil, what will happen? There will be less evaporation from the soil, as well as the soil will also get protected from erosion. Okay, now for this mulch purpose we can use anything, but when we are specifically growing any crop to provide such condition, when we are growing such crop which can cover the from the foliage of the crop, it can cover the entire field, and if the entire field is covered once, what will happen? The evaporation will be less. Okay, there will be a less evaporation, moisture will get conserved, as well as the soil will get protected from the erosion. So these crops are known as mulch crop. Clear? So just understand the meaning of mulch and you will be understanding the mulch crop. Mulch crop are basically crops that cover the soil as soon as possible so that there is moisture preservation in the soil, as well as the soil get protected from the tillage. Okay. Okay. Next is stimulate crop. Now, students, you might have heard about tobacco, opium. These crops stimulate the human body. These crop affect the nervous system of a human body, right? So such crop which have some stimulating effect on a body, they are stimulate crop. Clear? I think this is simple to understand. And then we have some supplementary crop. See, we have discussed about the augment crop, complementary crop. Now we have another group, that is supplementary crop. Now supplementary crops are neither complementary nor competitive, means neither they will compete with each other nor they will benefit each other. So if we have such kind of a group or a pair present, that is known as supplementary crop, and it is also good to have, because see, if they will have no kind of interaction, so what we can do, on the same piece of land we can grow these two crops, because they will not compete with the resources, neither they are benefiting each other, right? So such crop pairs are known as supplementary crops. Okay. Next we have is a truck crop. So students, this is just a, is a term given for the crop which are transferred or which are shipped from one place to another place. So basically all your vegetable they need to be transferred to the distance market as soon as possible, because again they are perishable and we cannot store them for the long duration of time. So when these crops are, just harvested, we need to make sure that we are transferring them to the market as soon as possible, and such crops for which this practice is used, they are known as truck crops. Clear? Next we have is a trap crop. Now here few crops are also used to protect the main crop. Students, not only we are, using the mixture of crop for the crop rotation or the moisture conservation purpose or the soil erosion protection, but also sometimes for controlling the disease and pest also we are using some crops. Okay, so these are known as trap crops. Now what happens in trap crop? Basically we have one main crop. Okay, and now in this main crop, if we see, there is an infestation of any disease or insect in the main crop which is reducing the production of this main crop, what we do, we grow trap crop around it. Now this trap crop, what it does, it provide, it is attract the this insect or disease get attracted to this trap crop, and our crop get protected. So that is the meaning of trap crop. Basically it's a trap set for the disease or the insect that is affecting our main crop. ठीक है? So trap crop are grown to protect the main crop from certain pest and disease. ठीक है? I hope this is also clear. Next we have is the smoother crop. Now smoother crop are basically, students, some crops which do not allow weeds to grow. See, fouling crops were which were allowing the wheat to grow, but smoother crops are those which do not allow weeds to grow. So they cover the field as soon as possible and they do not leave a space for wheat that so that they can grow. So such crops are called smoother crops. Example are buckwheat and cowpea. Clear? I hope this is also clear to you. Okay. Next we have is paired row crops. Now this is a system in which we can sow some crop. So when we are sowing crop in paired rows, okay, usually we have these, right? We sow crop in these row. But in this, what we do, we sow crop in two rows, leave third row, then again two crops, sow crop in two rows, leave third one, and in the pairwise manner we are sowing the crop. If this practice is used, then this is known as paired row crops. Now why it is used? Because again, first, the nutrient from this part which is left is used by the plant. It can be utilized by the plant, and the moisture from this part can also get conserved, ठीक है, as well as in the area where there is less rainfall, ठीक है, so what we can do, we can effectively utilize the space, ठीक है, we can effectively utilize space, and while giving the irrigation also, this part can be used to irrigate the field, ठीक है. Yes, you can consider Ayushi. Dekho, in mulch crop also the weed suppression is there, but smoother crop are specifically term used for the crop which are for the suppression of weed. But for mulch crop, there are other aspect also like conservation of water, conservation of soil, right? No, it cannot come under furrow bed system because in furrow bed system we construct furrow. We construct furrow. Okay, we make the furrow. This can be done on plain land. Here just r- two rows of crops are sown, not furrows are not made here. Okay, furrow are basically raised bed that you made for crop production. Chalo, next we have is Pera and Utera crops. So Pera and Utera crops are basically crops in which what we do, this is the these are the crop which we sow, in a part of the life cycle of a previous crop. Here what we do, before 10 to 15 days harvesting of the previous crop, we sow the seed of these crops, and then these seed utilizes the moisture of 10 to 15 days before harvesting of the previous crop, and then they grow. Okay? So if this type of method is used for growing the crop, that is known as Pera and Utera crops. Clear? Next we have is a nurse crop. Now student, as the name suggests, nurse means they are nurturing something. They are helping in nourishment of something. So this provide nourishment of any kind to other crops, be it protecting it from the high wind velocity, protecting it from the harsh sunlight, or from providing the shade. So such crops are called as nurse crop. See, pair crops are basically those who we crops which are sown in the paired row. ठीक है, आप जब रो पेयर्ड रो की फॉर्म में किसी क्रॉप को ग्रो कर रहे हो, दे आर पेयर्ड रो क्रॉप्स. दैट इज द थिंग. Any crop can be grown as a paired row crops, ठीक है? But why they have been specifically mentioned? Because in dryland areas, the okay, Pera and Uteras. Okay. Pera and Utera basically you can consider as that in few crops, देखो, I'll explain to you. Like you have sown rice. ठीक है, this is the rice crop. Now this rice has produced the grain, and in 10 to 15 days you are thinking to harvest it. ठीक है? You are thinking to harvest it. But what you do, you you smartly utilize, you smartly say that okay, I can utilize the moisture that is still present in the field. So for that, what I'll do, I'll sow the other crop. That if you want to sow lathyrus for say, you broadcasted the lathyrus seed before harvesting the rice. So that that crop is known as para and utera crop, and yes, it is the example of relay crop. Okay, it is a relay crop. Chalo. Next we have is a lay crop. Lay crop are basically, these are the mixture of grasses and legume. Okay, these are basically sown for the fodder purpose for the livestock. And here what we are sowing grasses along with the legumes, and this mixture are sown over a piece of land, or and then these mixture will be either harvested for the immediate feeding of the livestock, or the livestock is allowed to gaze on these mixture. Okay, so these are known as lay crops. And the mixture of grass and legume, they are called lay. Very important. Okay, just remember, lay crops are mixture of grass and legumes. ठीक? Then we have border and guard crop. Now as the name suggests, border and guard, that means they are guarding something, right? So what can happen, see, the animal can go to their field and can destroy your crop. So what you can do, you can sow some crop at the border so that you can prevent the trespassing animal. Okay, so if any crop is sown for this purpose, we are studying based on special purpose, right? If the purpose of any crop is to border or to guard any main crop, then that crop will be called as border or guard crop. Clear? I hope this is clear to you. Now there are few famous name of important few crops. You have to remember this. See, chances are less, but still you should have the idea. King of cereal is wheat. Queen of cereal is maize. King of coarse cereal is sorghum. Pulses is chickpea. Queen is pea. Okay, at least king of pulses is important. King and queen of cereals is important. Okay. King of oilseed is important. Groundnut. Then fodder crop is berseem. A queen of fodder crop is lucerne, very important. And golden fiber jute, that you have already learned, right? Vegetable meat is cowpea, important. Okay? Cowpea has high protein content, that's why it is known as vegetable meat. So these are some important facts, okay, that again you have to learn. Now we will discuss about the important practices during crop production. Okay? So I'll take 2 minutes. If you want to ask anything, just tell me. Otherwise, I'll proceed. If you want to ask regarding whatever I've teach you right now, then tell me. Otherwise, I'll proceed. See, this is Paritosh. This is the demo class. Okay, there will be two demo class. Rest class will be given to the course student only. This playlist I'm not going to continue. Okay, we will have separate class for the YouTube. This is just a demo class. I'm telling you. Yes, this is added to the paid course. Okay, ma'am provides slides. Previous slide. Okay, previous slide. This one. So, Vidisha, are you talking about this one? So Tapat, see, it's not possible to remember these examples. I would suggest you, based on purpose, just know the term used for different types of crop that is there. Just know the term. Example, if you cannot, it's okay, but at least you should know the terms that are used for different type of crops based on the special purpose. Okay, Deepak, difference between angiosperm and gymnosperm. See, Deepak, when we see the classification of plants, so there are two types of, there are other types also which are primitive plants where we do not have differentiating leaf, stem or root. So they are primitive plants. Okay, and then where we have the differentiation of leaf, root, stem, under that we have two category, that is gymnosperm and angiosperm. Okay, now gymnosperm are the plant where the seed is not enclosed by any structure. We have the naked seed, means if you have seen a pine cone, so in pine cone, you will see the seeds are directly there in the pine cone. Okay, they are not enclosed by any structure. So such are the example of pine cone is the example of gymnosperm. And in angiosperm, the seed are enclosed with some structure. So that is the difference between angiosperm and gymnosperm. Okay. See, from the type of crops, I would say, from few few bases of classification. They can ask you example like all I have mentioned in the back previous slide, C4 plant example or C4 plant example they can ask you, annual biennial example they can ask you, but rest they will mostly ask you regarding the concept. Okay, like what is the augment crop, what is the supplementary crop, what is the smoother crop, likewise they will ask you. Okay. See, I'll try to wrap up the class by 1:30, but still, if we have to extend, I will have to extend because I have to complete the chapter. Okay? Yes, yes, this is recorded. You can watch it later on also. Sure, Siddharth. This you will get the recording later on. Okay? Don't worry. Okay. So I'll proceed. Okay. I think all queries has been answered. Okay, now how many topics are remaining? So we have this last topic, that is the important practices follows during crop production. So I will be teaching you about the tillage and the factor affecting crop production. So that's the these are the topic that is remaining. Okay, that are remaining. So it will take half an hour, I think more, half an hour, 40 minutes more. So uh, yeah, I'm also fine. I have to take your classes because exam has also come, and I'm also not feeling well, but still the classes should go on, and I have to take it. Okay. So thank you everyone for your concern, but don't worry, I'm fine. Okay, I'll take your class. So first, we'll understand the crop production. See, now we have discussed a lot about different types of crops, classification of crops, and so and so. But now we will move on to the production part. Like, see, crops, we have to produce these crops. So now how these crops are being produced on the field, we will discuss all this. So there are various important practices that runs behind the crop production, right? So first is preparation of soil. That is a very important thing and very basic thing that that a farmer had to do, that he had to prepare the soil for sowing of the seed. Okay, and we will be discussing this preparation of soil in this particular class. Rest, sowing of seed, irrigation, this will be dealt under different classes like seed and sowing, irrigation in the water management chapter. Then what we do after the seed, first we have prepared the soil, then farmer sow the seed. Okay, then it irrigate the field so that crop can grow, right? So that crop can have enough water and it can grow. Next is application of manure and fertilizer and pesticide, because within time what will happen, the nutrient status of soil will go deplete as the plant will absorb nutrient. So we need to supplement the fertilizer. So we have to add manure, we have to add fertilizer. Sometime it can happen like some pest can infect the crop, so we have to apply pesticides as well, we have to kill those pests. So this is another practice that goes on. Then once the crop has reached the maturity, then what we do, we harvest the crop. First we protect it till maturity, and then we harvest the crop. Okay, and after harvesting we store and preserve the crop for future purpose. So these are all the practices that runs behind the crop production. Now here we will discuss about the very first one that is preparation of soil. Okay, what is preparation of soil? What we do initially, we plow the land. Now when you see, or if you have been ever involved in the farming, so or you have seen any barren land, so you cannot just go to this land and sow the seed. You have to prepare the seed, you have to loosen up the soil, you have to plow the seed, you have to break the clods, you have to bring the clod to the minimum size, right? So okay, so excuse me. So Lakshmi Gupta, okay, let me just check it. Guys, if anyone's camera is open, please, I request you to off it. Okay, camera, or if you are not muted, so just close it because other students are getting disturbed. Okay, chalo. We have first practice, that is plowing and tillage. So I was telling you that whenever we are cultivating any land, we need to break the land. We need to bring land to a condition where we can sow the seed and seed can easily germinate. Okay? So that step is known as plowing and tillage. Next, we have to level the land. See, students, after plowing, it can happen that our land is not level. It can be up and down, and leveling is very important because once the land is leveled, so all your practice become easy. Okay, all the crops come to the same level, irrigation become fine, and everything is evenly distributed. So leveling is done after the plowing and tillage, and then we do the manuring, means we add fertilizer to the soil before sowing the crop as well, because so that we have enough nutrient in the soil, and when the seed germinate it can get nutrient from the soil and the plant can grow and produce good amount of yield. Okay, so that is the first step that happens, and we will discuss about the tillage because tillage is very important topic for your examination, as question has been asked from in this topic. So what is plowing and tillage? Basically, plowing is the general term used. Okay, plowing is means a preparation of land, initial preparation of land. It is a general term that is used. But when we scientifically plow the land, when we scientifically do the plowing of the land, the term that is used is tillage. Now you will see in the later slide that tillage has been divided into two parts. So that's why I'm saying that when scientific preparation of land is done, then term given is tillage. It is a Anglo-Saxon word. Okay, again a term that needs to be remembered, tillion or tolian, which means to plow or prepare the soil for seed to sow. Okay, and raise crop. And Jethro Tull is considered father of tillage, and tilth is basically one term that again is associated with tillage. So once the soil is prepared, so the condition of soil at that particular point of time is known as tilth, means that physical condition that is obtained as a result of tillage, that is known as tilth. Okay, so I hope this is clear to you all. And then we have different types of tillage. Now again, based on time in which we are doing the tillage operation, we have a classification. Based on the cropping season in which we are doing the tillage, we have the another classification. And based on the modern farming system that we are adopting. Okay, based on time we have preparatory cultivation and after cultivation. Based on cropping season we have on season tillage and off season tillage. And based on modern farming we have conservation tillage and conventional tillage. Okay. Okay. uh, Tillage again. So tillage is basically scientific manipulation of soil. Okay, you can understand it in the simple language. When scientifically or in a planned way you are manipulating the soil for bringing the soil into the good tilth condition basically good physical condition, so that you can easily sow the seed and seed can easily germinate. That is the tillage. That is the meaning of tillage. Okay, I have discussed the classification with you. Now let's discuss one by one. First we have is on the basis of time with respect to crop. So whether we are doing tillage operation before the crop, before sowing the crop, or after sowing of crop, that on that basis we have this classification. So first we have is a preparatory cultivation. Okay. Yes, Parag, you are also absolutely right. In plowing, it is plowing is general term. Opening up of the soil is known as plowing, but tillage where we are using different implements and scientifically we are cultivating the field, that is tillage. Chalo. Now, with respect to crop, whether we are doing tillage operation before sowing of crop or after sowing of crop, we have preparatory cultivation and after cultivation. ठीक है? Preparatory cultivation में we have primary tillage, secondary tillage, and then layout of seed bed. So first, what happens? First, the farmer, first and foremost thing that happens is the primary tillage. So what farmers do? Farmers break the hard soil into clod. Okay, whenever the hard soil is broken down, you will see a lot of heavy clods are formed over the soil. So this first step is known as primary tillage. Okay, first opening up of the soil you can say is the primary tillage. And when this primary tillage is done, the land get converted into big plots. Okay, now this is primary tillage. Now what happens? We cannot sow directly seed on these clods, right? It will not be of any use because there will be no proper root development. So these clods need to be broken down into fine soil, and that process after, break that process of breaking this clod into fine soil is known as secondary tillage. Clear? Primary tillage, opening up the soil, opening up of the land into large clots, primary tillage, and breaking the large clot into fine soil is secondary tillage. Okay? Now primary tillage, in primary tillage we have different type of primary tillage. See, deep tillage can be done, subsoiling can be done, year round tillage can be done. Now these are the type of primary tillage. Based on special purposes they are done. Okay? If you want to till deep, means if you want to sow any crop that have deep root system, what you will do, you will do deep tillage, so that if there is any compaction in the soil, that can be broken down. Okay? Then we have subsoiling. Again, subsoiling is done that if we have any hard crust present below the soil, that can be broken down. Okay, so that is also a type of primary tillage. Okay? Then we have year round tillage. Year round tillage is done harvested, then again you are doing the tillage operation, and then you are, to open up the soil so that moisture can be stored in the soil in the times like when you are not growing any crop and there is a rain, so that rain can get stored into the soil. That is the part of year round tillage, that year round you are doing the tillage operation for one or another purpose. Okay? These are the types of primary tillage implements. Sorry, these are the types of primary tillage operations that is based on the purpose. Okay? Next, we have a secondary tillage. Secondary tillage is basically done, as I've told you, to break the hard clod into fine soil. That is the secondary tillage. And once secondary tillage is done, then what we do, we prepare a layout. Okay, it's not like that everywhere in the field we are going to sow the seed. Okay, if we are going for line sowing, we have to prepare out the layout and we have to draw the lines on the field, and then when we sow the place the seed on these lines. ठीक है? Accordingly, if we want to divide the whole plot into small seed beds, so what we'll do, we will convert all the complete plot into small seed beds, and on these seed beds, different crops can be grown. Okay? So that is the final step, that is layout of seed bed. Now, this was preparatory cultivation. Now, after cultivation, tillage also happens. Okay? After preparatory cultivation, we do some kind of after cultivation tillage operation. So, which include your thinning and gap filling. Once crop has been established on the field, so what you will do, what can happen that sometimes, like if you are not following any geometry, okay, you are directly broadcasting the seed, especially in the case of small seed. This is the example of coriander. You can see coriander have very small seed, okay, and you cannot place one by one seed of coriander, so usually farmer do broadcasting. Okay? Once when broadcasting is done, so there will be no even distribution of seed in the field, obviously, because broadcasting is not a perfect method to uniformly distribute the seed into the field. So what will happen? There will be areas where the plant density is more, and there will be some area where plant density is less. So what we need to do, we need to even out this plant density. And for that, what we'll do, we will do thinning and gap filling. So thinning is basically plucking out or, uprooting of plant from the high dense area and transplanting them or, sowing them in the area where there are gaps. So this process is known as thinning and gap filling. Clear? So I think this is easy to understand. Then we have weeding and hoeing. The harrowing is a basically a method in which again we are removing the weeds. Okay? Harrowing is again another method of removing the weeds from the field. A harrow, which is a tillage implement, is used for that purpose. Okay. Next we have is weeding and hoeing. Weeding and hoeing is basically we have to remove weeds also. See, apart from your crop plant, weeds or unwanted plant will also grow in the field. So what you will have to do, you have to remove all these plants because you cannot allow these plants to grow. Otherwise, these plants will compete with your main crop, right? So what you do weeding and harrowing. You remove out all these plants and you, pluck out all these plant. So now, sorry, weeding and hoeing. I'm so sorry. Weeding and hoeing. So difference between weeding and hoeing is that when you are manually removing the weed out of the field, that is weeding. And when you are, with any implement, like you can see in the picture, is removing the weed, that is known as hoeing. Okay, that is the difference between weeding and hoeing. Weeding is done manually through hands. Hoeing is done with the help of any implement. And in the both cases, we are removing the weeds. Okay. Next we have is earthing up. Now students, in some crops it is required to provide support. Okay, like in potato also, or in papaya, not papaya, in banana, in sugarcane. Sometime they are they require support. Okay, and we need to, what we need to do, we need to do earthing up at the base of these crop. Okay, like for say in banana plant, what you do for support purpose, you add more soil volume to the base of banana. Similarly, in the case of sugarcane, you add more soil volume. In case of potato, see, more soil volume is added so that the tuber can grow properly. Okay, the tuber cannot, tuber can remain inside the soil, and it does not get exposed to the sunlight so that it can grow properly. So earthing up is basically adding up soil to the base of the plant. That is the that is the that is the purpose of earthing up. So it can be for the support purpose, it can be adding soil for better growth of a produce. So that is the earthing up. Clear? I hope this is also clear to you. Next is roguing. Now students, roguing is basically removal of same type of plant. Weeding is removal of off type of plant or different type of plant or unwanted plant. But roguing is removal of same type of plant. Now the question arises, why we are removing same type of plant? Because it can happen like we we intend to grow variety A, but there are few seeds of variety B. In field, when we see, we only are interested in variety A, we do not want variety B plant. So what we'll do, we will rogue it out. Okay? So the term used for removal of same type of plant is called roguing. Clear? Next is topping. Topping is basically operation in which what we do, we remove the apical portion of the plant. Okay? We remove apical portion of the plant so that more and more lateral growth can increase. Okay? More branches can increase. When we are interested in more foliage, so what we do, we remove the apical portion of the plant so that more branches can come. So that is known as topping. Okay? And next is propping. So students, in sugarcane especially, these two things happens: propping and retrashing. Propping is basically when we tie the bundle of sugarcane. When we what we do, we collect 10 sugarcane together and we tie them together. This practice is known as propping so that they can provide support to each other and there is no lodging. Lodging is basically felling off. So when there is high wind velocity, it can fell off. So in order to prevent that, we do propping. Next we have is detrashing. Detrashing is basically removal of trash, because sometimes this trash can harbor your insect and pest. This can have this can be home of so many disease and pest if we remain, if this trash remain in the field. And in sugarcane, which is a very long duration crop, it can go up to 18 months. So if this trash remain here, so it will spoil the main crop. So we need to detrash it, we need to remove it. Okay? Apical part, Shivani, is the topmost part. See, we have this plant. So this topmost part which grow upward is apical part. Okay? And it need to be removed. When we remove this apical part, then this plant will initiate lateral growth. More lateral buds will grow. So that is the meaning. Apical means topmost part of a plant. Okay? Next is desuckering. Sometimes students extra suckers arise. What are extra suckers? Extra stem, you can say. You can see this is the stem that was growing. Okay, and now suddenly this stem is also started growing from here. So earlier, when you the food that was going for this only stem, it get distributed to two stems. Okay, what will happen? The quality of produce can get deteriorate. Okay, the quality of tomato that you were expecting earlier can be of not that size or not that extent as you were expecting earlier because of this sucker that has arisen. So what you need to do, you need to remove these suckers, because again, that is the wastage of your photosynthesis, right? So you will pluck out these extra suckers, and this process is known as desuckering. Yes, propping and detrashing is different, because in propping you are tying the crops for support purpose. Detrashing, you are removing the trash so that there is no disease and insects. Yes, Shivani, it will hinder the plant growth, but we do not want, see, sometimes we do not want the apical growth, we want the more lateral growth.
ठीक है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ यू you might have seen in the gardens, what we do, we chop up the upper part of a plant. Why? So that more flower, more foliage, more leaves can come to the lateral part, because we wanted to improve the lateral growth, we do not want apical growth. That's why this is done. Huh. Okay, so with that, let's move ahead to next based of cropping season, that is crop tillage, that is based on cropping season, on season tillage and off season tillage. Now on season tillage is basically during the season whenever you wanted to grow the crop, before that you are doing any tillage operation, that is known as on season tillage operation. And next we have off season tillage operation, which is generally followed in dryland agriculture, where we want to store the rain that happens during during off season. Means if we have harvested the crop and after that also we expect that it can rain, so we need to store this rain, right? And if we have hard soil, we will not, if we do not open the soil, the rain or the water will just flow off of the surface. So we open up the soil so that there is a enough pore space present, and the water that comes as a rain can get stored in it. Okay, see why Richa, why rogging is important. Basically, see, if a particular farmer is getting good price for one commodity, that is variety A, so if it will have the plant of variety B, so first of all, it can happen due to mixture, the quality of its produce can go down. Okay, it will not fetch the same price, as well as the plant B will compete with plant A for the same nutrient. So when we do not want the variety B, why it is there? And also during the during the breeding process, where we want the seed of any specific variety, and if there is a plant of another variety or another type there, it can get mixed. Okay, the genetics can get mixed, so we want only specific type. So for that, rogging is done. Yes, to maintain the homogeneity. Okay, very good, Nikki, Vihar. uh, Okay, very good. Uncan, because we don't need the particular unwanted variable. Okay, very good. Variable of course. Chalo. I think on-season tillage, off-season tillage is clear. Now we will discuss conventional tillage and conservation tillage. Now conventional tillage means the conventional practice that we use of tillage. We do primary tillage operation, we do secondary tillage operation, but students, this conventional tillage practices have negative impact as well on the soil, because when we open up the entire land, so what happened, the land become prone to erosion. Okay, if the entire land is open up, now when there is a rain, a heavy rain, the soil will get washed off, your upper layer, your upper fertile layer can get washed off. Okay, so this conservation tillage, sorry, conventional tillage has its impact. So that's why we need to shift to the conservation tillage. Okay, that's why scientists have said that why we are opening the entire land when we need to sow the seed on a particular place only. So what if we sow the we open up the land only at that place where we want to sow the seed. So that type of tillage operation is known as conservation tillage, where we are conserving the soil, where we are focused on conserving the soil. In conventional, we are not bothered about the soil erosion, we are not bothered about the impact that it is having on the soil. But in conservation tillage, to overcome the impact of conventional tillage, what we do, we just open up the soil to the limited extent where we intend to sow the seed. Okay, so that is the difference between conventional and conservation tillage. Now, there are different types of conservation tillage. First is zero tillage. Now, this is important concept. It has been asked in your examination. So, zero tillage is basically where no tillage operation is done. ठीक है, we are not tilling the land at all. ठीक है, we are not removing any kind of stubble from the land. We are not cleaning the land, but we are directly sowing the seed where we want to sow the seed. We are not doing the tillage operation. That is why it is known as zero tillage, as well as no till operation. Okay. Now the question that can come to your mind is, ma'am, then if we are not cleaning up the land before, then how the weeds that are already present in there, they how means these weed can impact our main crop, then how we are managing these weeds? So students, what happened here, we before before sowing the seed, what we do, we use chemicals. we use weedicides. So these weedicides are used to kill the present vegetation over that particular land. And once this vegetation get killed, okay, we do not remove it, because when this crop will this weeds or this stubble that will decompose, it will add nutrient to the soil. So why there is a need of removal? Okay, so we just kill them with the help of chemical, and we just open up the soil where we want to sow the seed, and no tillage is done. That is the zero tillage operation. Okay. Next is stubble mulch tillage. Here what we do, we leave the stubble on the ground. Okay, we do not remove the stubble, we just leave the stubble on the ground of the previous crop, and we open up the soil just in the rows or the in the places where we want to sow the seed. So when stubble is left on the ground, that is known as stubble mulch tillage. Then we have rotary tillage. In rotary tillage, see, this is a type of conservation tillage. Here we are using a rotavator, but the benefit here is that our primary and secondary tillage is being done in one go. Because see, when we are first doing primary tillage operation, then we are doing secondary tillage operation, we are increasing the round of tillage implement over our land. And with that, what can happen? Our land can get more compacted. It can get more compacted. The soil space can get, soil pores can get less. Okay. And the hard pan can form under the soil. It has its own disadvantages. So what if we can minimize that operation to one go only? If we can just in one go we can do primary and secondary tillage operation, so that is again a conservation tillage. Okay, and that is done through rotary tillage, and rotavator is the machine which is used for this purpose. Okay. Then we have strip tillage. In strip tillage we are doing the tillage operation, but we are only opening up the strips. Okay, we are only opening up the strips where we want to sow the seed. Rest, the stubble is kept as such, and we are just cleaning and opening up the strips where we want to sow the seed. So these are the different types of conservation tillage. And then we have some special purpose tillage also. In special purpose tillage, first we have is a clean tillage. Clean tillage is basically where our intention is to clean the field. Okay, if there is any stubble, if there is any weed growing on in between the crop, so we need to clean it up. So clean tillage is basically cleaning the field. For cleaning the field, it is done. Blind tillage is done over the crop. Okay, like you can see in the picture also, this person is driving this tractor, this machine over the crop. Okay, so what we do, we sow the crop in such a way that the machine can be taken in between the crops, and also in between the crops, where you can see in these crops the weeds whichever there is present there, they are removed. So this is known as blind tillage, because it is done blindly over the crop. Okay, crop can get damaged here, but it is kept in mind that they do not get damaged. But yes, here again weed removal is done, and that is done over the crop. Okay. Then we have wet tillage and puddling. Wet tillage and puddling is the practice which is used for rice. Now here what we are doing, we are we are filling the field, or we are allowing a stagnant water condition over the field, and then doing the tillage operation. Okay, then disturbing the soil. When this type of operation is done, that is known as wet tillage or puddling. The wet tillage because water is required here, and puddling is basically a term used for this type of tillage operation. Okay, and usually in rice this type of tillage is done, and when this puddling is over, after that we transplant the rice seedling over this piece of land. Clear? So I hope all these special purpose tillage are also clear clear to you. ठीक है? Now we will be moving on to the last topic, that is factor affecting crop production. So any doubt till now? Just let me know. Any doubt? Is there any doubt? Okay. Yes. See, uh, to all those who are watching on YouTube, I would like to tell you here that these are the demo lecture for you. Okay. So on YouTube, first initial two lecture of crash course is being given as a demo to you. So I hope this is clear to you all. Yes, Anu, this is the paid course. This is the crash course. But yes, today and tomorrow I'll be taking just the demo lecture. Okay. After that, There will be no lecture on YouTube. We will be taking separate YouTube series, and these lecture will go on separately. Okay, stubble mulch and strip tillage. See, stubble mulch is basically you are using stubble as a mulch. As the name suggests, stubble mulch. Here, our purpose is to remain to keep the stubble as a mulch. Our purpose is to leave the stubble for mulching purpose, so that it can conserve the soil water, as well as it can prevent the soil for erosion. In strip tillage, our purpose is not the mulching. Our purpose is to just open up the strips where we can sow the crop. See, no type of plow and harrow. Don't just go in very depth. Just try to remember the name. Okay, what are the different type of primary tillage implement and secondary tillage implement? If you can just remember the name, that will be sufficient. Plow types again. See, this will be covered in detail in the coming chapter by Diksha ma'am, in Farm and Agriculture Engineering. So there you can see. But types, don't go into types. Just remember the names. What are the different implements used for the primary tillage operation and secondary tillage operation? That will be sufficient. Okay, just don't go in the different parts and all and all. That name will be sufficient. Shipra, see, cell organelles is not of that much importance. Only once a question was asked from a cell organelles. If you can just see, so just know the important function of different cell organelles. I don't think it is of that importance. Okay? So if you can just go through the function of important cell organelles, like what is the function of nucleus, what is the function of endoplasmic reticulum, then Golgi Golgi body is there, and then function of mitochondria, very important, that is formation of ATP. So just remember the important function, and that will be sufficient. Puddling objective, see, इनकी puddling objective is to first, देखो first तो puddling is the very best way to grow the rice. ठीक है, first what we do in rice, there is a requirement of stagnant water. We need to hold the water in the field. So when we do puddling, the soil particle get disturbed, and it get, whenever what you do, whenever you mix soil in water, so you will see first the heavy particle will settle, then silt particle will settle, the medium size particle, and then fine particle will settle. Okay, with this, what will happen when this happen in the field, a compact layer forms. The soil that become compact due to this settlement of different particle at different period of time, and the pores that get blocked, and the and the water that stand on the soil. And in rice, it is very important that we maintain 5 centimeter of water depth. ठीक है, तो to do for this purpose, puddling is done. The next is weed control. In puddling, if we go for puddling, weeds are not there in the soil. So these are the objective of puddling. ठीक है, soil structure, it is favorable for the rice, and also weeds are not there, and the water remains on on the surface of the field. So these are the objective of puddling. Yes, Richard, there can be direct definition based questions. See, you can leave those numericals. It's not of that importance. It has never been asked. Numerical are not asked, so you can leave those numericals. Okay, how much time taken for tillage in blind tillage or for 1 hectare? See, that depends. That depends on the machine that you're using. Okay, it's not like that this much particular time will be taken for each and every implement. That based on tillage implement or the machine that you're using, that is there, and it is not asked in your examination, because they will not ask you regarding the time taken by tillage for the tilling 1 hectare land, because it has never been asked, as well as they will more precisely ask you what is the blind tillage. Clear? Now, okay. Okay, see which crop need these type of tillage. देखो rice, puddling, in puddling rice is there. Clean tillage, you can see that on in orchard when we have big orchard, and we have perennial crops, so in between in between the crop cycle, we need to remove the trashes in between the rows of the orchard crop, because if the trash or if the dust remain there, it will attract disease and pest. Okay. And blind tillage, in potato, tillage is done because you can see blind tillage is possible where furrow is there, and in potato, in between the crop, we need to remove the weeds, and for that blind tillage can be done. Clear? Chalo. Factor affecting crop production, let's move on to this. No, it's not important to remember tillage depth. uh, No, see, depth is not asked in the examination for now. So just remember different types of tillage. Types of tillage is very important. Okay, so there are some internal and external factors that affect your crop production. Okay. So what is the meaning of internal and external factor? So see, whenever there is a crop that grows, so there are some genetic or hereditary characters that that particular plant or crop will have. These are called internal factors, and this crop grow in the environment. Okay, it interact with soil, it interact with the environment, it interact with the abiotic factor, it interact with the the type of condition that is over that particular piece of land. So these are the external factor, and we call them as an environmental factor. Okay. Now factor of affecting crop production, this is of not that much important. You should just know what are the different factors that is affecting crop production. So I will be just quickly covering this. Okay, this is the last topic of this today's lecture, and already the time is I have extended the time. Chalo. So first we will discuss the external factor. Under that we will see climate. So students, climate में अब क्या क्या आता है? What all comes under climate? We have temperature, we have relative humidity, precipitation, solar radiation, wind velocity. Then we have atmospheric gases as well. Now temperature is again very important. You can see that few crops can grow in a temperate region, some grow in the tropical region. So temperature of any particular region determines which crop will grow there. Okay. And also there should be optimum temperature. It should not be like that any crop is growing under very any crop can tolerate any kind of temperature. If any crop is tropical crop, so again it will have some optimum temperature. It's not like that it will survive in 50 degrees Celsius or 60 degrees Celsius, right? So optimum temperature should be there for production of any crop. Okay? For us also to function well, we also need a optimum temperature, right? So for plants also temperature is important. Optimum is considered between 15 and 40 degrees Celsius, that you have to learn. Then we have relative humidity. Now students, relative humidity is basically amount of water vapor that is present in the atmosphere. Okay. Humidity is basically amount of water vapor. Water vapor is a gas. Gaseous form of water. So what is the amount of water vapor present around a crop? That is also very important, and it should be around 40 to 60%, because relative humidity hampers photosynthesis. Okay. If relative humidity is 100% for say, what will happen? There will be no evaporation. If there will be no evaporation, there will be no loss of if there will be no loss of water from the plant. And see, plant also transpire, plant also lose water to maintain their environment, right? That is why we feel cool near the any under any tree, because the plant transpires at the daytime and it remain and it what it does. Yes, Shipra, the specific definition of relative humidity Shipra has given in the chat box, so you guys can read there. And it is basically the actual vapor present in the particular point of time to the water vapor that is present at saturation condition. Saturation means when no more water vapor can be added to the atmosphere. Okay? So just remember, for plant to function well, optimum relative humidity is between 40 to 60%. Then precipitation, very important. Rainfall is very, very important, because plant need water, and usually the water that get replenished in the soil, it is from the precipitation. Precipitation can be in the form of rain, snow, hailstorm, anything, right? Again, precipitation is important too for the water supply of the plant. Then we have solar radiation. Solar radiation again very important, because we know First of all, the photosynthesis depend on solar radiation, as well as plant also have some kind of response to the day length of day, well, to the day length that we will be discussing in the coming slide. Okay. Then we have wind velocity. So there should be optimum wind velocity for the proper growth of plant. It should be 4 to 6 kilometer per hour, because if wind velocity will be high, obviously your plant will lodge, it will fall off, it will, there will be wear tear losses in the plants. So optimum wind velocity should be there. Okay. And atmospheric gases again, oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, all of these are important, because see, plant is releasing carbon dioxide, releasing oxygen, taking carbon dioxide for making carbohydrate. Plant are using nitrogen for the nutrient purpose, right, for making foods. So each of these gases are very important for the of production of any produce in the plant. Okay. Then we have, I've discussed the temperature. So these are the climatic factor basically. Okay. Just remember what are the different climatic factor, all of these, and optimum temperature, optimum relative humidity, and optimum wind velocity. Then we have photoperiodism, the term that I was discussing. Yes, you have to remember these optimum, but for each you can skip. Okay, for each crop you can skip, because that will be a lot to do. Then photoperiodism is basically, students, the response of plant to the day length. Okay, so photoperiodism term was given by Gardner and Allard, and some plant flower at different day length, at different day length means, see, some plant flower when day length is short, some plant flower when day length is long, and some plant, they do not have any impact on the day length. They can, flower on their own, and day length do not impact the flowering pattern on such plants. So based on that, we have short day, long day, and day neutral plant. Very important, this is very important. Okay, you have to learn. Now, short day plant are basically short day, as the name suggests, short day. So they require less day length. Less than 12 hour of day length is required for flower initiation. Okay? Here example is tobacco, soybean, rice. Then we have long day plant where day length required is more than 14 hours for the flower initiation. Okay? Here wheat, barley, sugar beet, castor, these are the example. And then day neutral, maize, tomato, sunflower, cotton, and cucumber. These are the example. Okay? So just remember the example and the meaning basically. What is the meaning of short day plant, long day, and day neutral plant? Okay, with this, the climatic factor is done. Next is edaphic factor. Edaphic means factor associated with soil. Edaphic is the term used for soil. Okay, so in soil moisture will impact the crop growth. Soil temperature will impact soil organism that are present in the soil. Soil mineral matter, soil organic matter, and soil air, and soil pH. All this can impact the crop growth. Now, soil moisture, first let us discuss what is soil moisture, amount of water that is present in the soil. Now, water that is taken up by the crop, that is from the soil itself, right? So, soil moisture is very important, and it is very important that we have some amount of water present in the soil that can be easily taken up by the plant for the growth and development. Okay? So, the amount range of available water that can be stored in the soil is known as available soil water moisture. Okay? Means just the range of available water that is present in the soil is available soil water or moisture. And the difference between field capacity and permanent wilting point is available moisture again. Now, what is the meaning of field capacity and permanent wilting point? Let me explain to you. So first, see here this picture. We have saturation. First, when you irrigate the field, what will happen? All the pores that are present in the soil, be it the macro pores, be it the micro pores, all get filled up with the water. Okay, that situation is known as saturation. Means all pores are saturated with water, and this condition is known as saturation. Now, what happened after 2 to 3 days? What will happen? The bigger pores, that are the macro pores, that will drain from these pores, that will drain from the soil. Okay, and it will drain, and only micropores will have the water, because micropores are small and they can hold the water against gravity, but macropores could not hold the water against gravity. So what will happen? They will drain. Now, all the micropores when filled with the water, this situation is known as field capacity. Okay, this situation is known as field capacity. And the water that is present in the micropores, this is the water which is available to the plant, and plant can absorb this water. Clear? This is the field capacity. And next, slowly and slowly, plant will take water from the micropores and the soil will dry. And the plant, there will be there will be a time where there will be no more moisture available in the soil, and this soil is known as now wilting point. This soil has come to a wilting point. Okay, so first we have saturation, then we have field capacity condition, and then we have a permanent wilting point. Now, students, there are two things: permanent wilting point and ultimate wilting point. Now, permanent wilting point is where, if the soil has dried up, there is no water for the plant will dry and it will fall. Okay, it will lose its turgidity. But if we again add the water to the soil, plant will absorb the water and it will regain its turgidity. It will not wilt, it will regain from the wilting position. But if we do not supply water after permanent wilting point, then there is a stage which is known as ultimate wilting point. Means from this point onward, now plant will not regain the turgidity no matter how much water you provide to it. Okay, so this is the effect of soil water on the plant. So based on that, we have three types of water: gravitational water, capillary water, and hygroscopic water. Gravitational water is basically, understand, the water which is moving by the force of gravity. And the water which is moving force of gravity was present in macropores. So macropores में जो water था, that is gravitational water. Capillary water is basically the water which is held by the capillary force. And this capillary force water is basically the water which is present in the small micropores. ठीक है, so that is the capillary water. And hygroscopic water is basically when capillary water is also finished, then there is some amount of water which is held by the soil particle. Soil particle also holds some amount of water. A thin layer of water is hold on to the soil particle, which is hygroscopic water. But again, this hygroscopic water is not available for the plant cannot absorb this hygroscopic water. So we need to reapply the water after the capillary water has been degraded by the plant. Okay, so at the saturation condition, the the plant root will not be able to respire, so it will die. So then it should be very it should be very clear in the mind that we need to maintain the ratio of water filled pore space and the air filled pore space for the healthy growth of the plant. Okay, so on in the both cases, if we have given extreme extra water, or if we have not provided enough water, in the both case plant will wilt. But yes, optimum water should always be there in the soil. Okay, and then soil temperature. Soil temp Okay, then soil temperature also have impact on the crop growth. So students, see, the temperature of the soil, impact the processes that goes inside the soil. Okay, so just remember that for microbes to grow in the soil, or for the chemical process for the release of nutrient in the soil, there should be optimum soil temperature. Okay, soil temperature also impact the growth of the soil. Then we have soil organism. All the soil organisms that are present in the soil, they also have impact on growth. Okay, so is there any voice problem? Just let me know. Okay, so guys, just understand, all the organisms that are present in the soil, they also impact soil plant growth. Because see, if we take example of earthworm, what earthworm did, it crawls in the soil and it initiate the process of what it will do, it will improve the aeration in the soil. Okay, so these are the all different types of organisms that you can see on the screen that have impact on the soil. Just remember, sorry, impact on the crop growth. Just remember what are the different types of factors that is affecting crop growth. Here, soil organism also have impact on crop growth because they are important. Again, there are so many bacteria that are present in the soil, so many fungus that are present in the soil that help in the decomposition. So when decomposition happens due to this organism, then only the nutrients are released in the soil. Okay, so that is why these are also important. Then we have soil mineral matter. So what kind of mineral is present in the soil, that is again very important, because if soil have more clay particle, okay, it means soil have more fine particle, so these fine particle will hold more nutrient. Okay, and it will be good for the soil. But if soil particle is not able to hold the nutrient, then that will not be good for the soil, for the for the plant. Okay, so soil separate, basically we have sand, silt and clay. So they also impact the plant growth and development. Okay, so again, I have told you how these soil particles, because if the soil particle will be finer, they will be able to hold the nutrient and will be able to provide to the plant. If there will be soil particle which is not able to hold nutrient, so there will be less availability of nutrient to the plant. Okay, next we have soil organic matter, very important. We always, we always say that we should apply organic matter to the soil, we should go for organic farming. Why so? Because organic matter is one thing that is maintaining all kind of biological, physical and chemical property inside the soil. Okay, so first, biological means organic matter provides food for all kind of organisms that are residing in the soil. These organisms break down this organic matter and releases nutrients, right? Then all the chemical reactions that happens in the soil, okay, be it in the terms of nutrient release, or optimizing the pH of the soil, everything that is managed by the soil organic matter. Then it also help in improving the physical structure of the soil. Okay, for example, if soil particle are not able to hold the nutrient, and if we add organic matter to the soil, so the structure of the soil particle will enhance and it will be able to hold more nutrients, more nutrients. Okay, so next we have again the soil air. So students, soil air, be it the amount of oxygen, carbon dioxide present in the soil, that will be that again impact the crop growth. Okay, if there will be absence of oxygen, there will be no germination, right? So for some crop, there should be anaerobic condition, for some crop there should be aerobic condition. So all these soil air also impact the crop growth. Okay, next is pH. PH is basically the how alkaline or how saline is the soil. Basically, it is the activity of hydrogen ion that is present in the soil in the chemical terms. But just understand that pH is the instrument that help us to decide whether the soil is acidic or saline. Okay? If the pH is less than 7, it is considered acidic. If it is more than 7, then it is considered alkaline or saline. Okay? So it also in pH also influence nutrient availability, its physical condition, and you can see that different nutrients are available at different pH inside the soil. Okay, no, you don't have to remember the pH value. It's not important. So just have the idea. But if you can, that will be again a very good thing. It can be good for your mains part. Okay, mains may you can consider, you can expect question from this also. Next we have is the internal factor. So internal factor, sorry, the biotic factor. So biotic factor may we have again plants and animals, flora and fauna on the soil. So plants also show competitive nature, right? Some plants compete with your crop plants. Some plant also supplement your crop plants. So again, that kind of interaction happens, and we have already discussed some in the previous in the based on the special purpose classification. Then animals, some animals are helpful in cross pollination or improving the pollination in the crop, and some animals can be harmful because they damage the crop. Okay, so these are the effect of biotic plants and animals on the crop growth. Then what is the physiography of a particular landmass is also important. Dekho, topography, altitude, what is the steepness of the slope, and how much the area is exposed to the light. All these are also important, and all these also determine which kind of crops you are growing. Okay, so just have a look on all these and have just idea. Okay, then we have genetic factors. See, socioeconomic factor means what is the socioeconomic condition of that particular area. Okay, you will see the farmers in the Punjab region, they are rich because they are big farmer. Have a lot of land mass. They can they can adopt different kind of technology. They can have different kind of improved machinery. But the farmers in the hilly areas have small land mass. So based on that also, which kind of crop is grown, that is dependent. Okay? Then genetic makeup, obviously, the genetic what is the genes that are present in particular crop. Okay? What is the genetic makeup of a particular thing, a particular crop, that is again determining the crop production. Obviously, some crop yield more, some yield less due to their genetic makeup. Okay, some mangoes are sweeter than other because of their genetic makeup. So some crops are more tolerant to disease than other due to their genetic makeup. So genetic makeup is also again very important, that can impact your crop production. So we always thrive that we get some best genetically, best genetics of the crop. So that's why we can make more good varieties of crop which can get resistant, which can tolerate the disease also, and which can give us good produce. Okay? So these are the so that was the last slide of this lecture. And now if you have any doubt, just let me know. Okay. Okay, any doubt, just let me know. And also I have a request, after this class, just do share your feedback regarding this class at hello@edutap.co.in. Okay, that's a request from my side. And now I'll take your query first. Chalo. Okay, Gomti, I'll try to compile the class from tomorrow onward till 1:30. Okay, 1:30 tak I'll try to wrap up the class. Any other question from your side, just let me know. ओके पीपीटी सी इट विल बी अपडेटेड टू योर कोर्स. ओके, आपके कोर्स में ही अपडेट हो जाएगा अनिकेत. यू कैन डाउनलोड इट फ्रॉम देयर बाय टुमारो मॉर्निंग. आई रिक्वेस्ट द सपोर्ट टीम दैट इट विल गेट अपडेटेड एज सून एज पॉसिबल. ठीक है. क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम टुडे. See, yes. If you feel that anything you wanted to ask regarding today's session in tomorrow's session, again you can ask, but that will happen at the last. Okay, I'll first try to cover the chapters and then I'll take the query. See, HP, you can leave the numerical part. Okay, you can leave that numericals because it haven't been asked in the examination. Okay, so see, if you want to learn the terminology given with regards to numericals, you can learn the terminology, meaning of the terminology, but how to do numerical, you can leave it. ठीक है? Okay, Richa, see, I don't have any idea regarding कि कब तक ये lecture upload हो जाएगा, but I will request the team that as soon as possible they will upload it. Thank you so much, Aniket. I'll request you to please send this feedback at hello@edutap.co.in. Okay, I'll request every one of you who have been in the class to just send your feedback to me. Okay, all these feedback get forwarded to me so that tomorrow also I can come with the same energy and can teach you. Yes, supplementary notes you can skip for now. See, from supplementary notes, if you want to learn something, so go for the scientific name. Okay, crops given in the supplementary notes, just remember the scientific name. Try to learn the scientific name. Satya, see, summary sheet is also there in the course. Okay, if you will see your course, open it, you will find summary sheet is there and the attachment is also there. You can download it. See, if you get negative mark in the non-merit section, then you will not qualify M because you need to clear the minimum cutoff of non-merit as well. Okay, Deepak, important chapter other than the 7 chapter. Okay, so Deepak, apart from the important 7 chapters, I would suggest you to read the agriculture extension, seed and sowing, and the cropping system one. Okay, so these are other important chapters that you have to learn apart from those 7 chapters. See, Akshit, I will be covering the first 7 chapter till soil and water conservation. Rest, Iksha ma'am will take. Yes, Vaishnavi, you will get the recording of the class. Don't worry. Uh, you're welcome, Richa. Tilak, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your concern. Okay, for which book? Nitya, I would request you that please first refer to the summary sheet. If once your summary sheet is covered, then you can refer for the other ARD books. Okay, that can be Arun Katyan or RK Sharma. Uh, See, I haven't bought the important 7 chapter slide here. Tomorrow I'll come with the important chapters. Okay, don't worry. The first slide I'll keep for the important chapters, and then you can see from there. Okay. No, no, no. That will not affect. See, your overall score in particular sectional cutoff will matter. Okay, if your overall score is clearing your minimum cutoff, then that will be there. Otherwise, you can, there can be a possibility that you can answer any question wrong in the non-section, non-merit section. There will be negative marking. Negative marking is there. See, Richa, I would say one question you can expect from the scientific name. Uh, So that's now up to you whether you want to, read all the scientific name for that one question, or you wanted to learn all the important things before and then then later on see the scientific name. I would suggest you later on just read the scientific name of important crops. Okay? Okay. So that's all from the Zoom session query. I'll take now query from the YouTube. Okay. Okay. There are another queries that No, no, no. It will not affect the merit section. It will not affect. It will only affect your non-merit section of that particular subject. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, HP. Thank you so much for the concern. Okay. Please, every one of you who are there in the Zoom session, I request you to please send your feedback. Okay. Just after the class, send your feedback, and then I'll come for the tomorrow's class. Okay. Next, I'll take query from the YouTube. Okay. Himanshu. Okay. Regarding the classes, I'll Uh, okay, schedule of crash course. So see, we have already shared on the YouTube. You can watch that video. There we have already shared the schedule of the class. Motilal, you're welcome. No, Nikita, there will be only 2 demo lecture on YouTube from this crash course. The rest, all the lectures will not be live on the YouTube. You're welcome, Pallu. Uh, Praval, only 2 lecture will be there on YouTube. Okay, only 2 lecture. rest rest of the lecture will not be live on the YouTube. It will only be in the course. Okay. So from YouTube also, I request if any one of you have any doubt, just let me know. Okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, Aniket, for sharing the mail ID. Okay. So guys, you can share the feedback here, and I'll be waiting for your feedback. Okay. With that, I hope I have taken everyone's query. If there is any query, you can ask me tomorrow also. Okay. With that, we'll end this session. Thank you so much for patiently listening to me, and I hope you have gained some kind of confidence after this class. Thank you so much, Aniket. Okay. Thank you, everyone. So I'll take your leave.